Oh, okay, cool. All right, then I'll go ahead and start that part over again. So, basically, after the recap, it's been about a week since the firestorm that destroyed Phandalin. At the college, you've spent time recovering and reflecting, Nivara often poring over the tome that is becoming a near permanent fixture in your hands. The leathery binding and vaguely sweet-smelling pages give you a comforting warmth that is all but absent on the station, especially so far from the natural world below. Ketis, you're slowly becoming accustomed to the concerned looks that the college's members give you when you're caught off guard talking to Ophelia, or practicing your newfound powers that are invested by Crow. Remember, nobody can see Ophelia except for Nivara, so you know that's a little bit of a strange interaction that you're talking to someone who isn't there to anyone else. But there's kind of they've a little bit gotten used to it that there's some strangeness about the two of you. Which nobody really complains about too much because of your successful, how successful you've been in bringing in the Idrilim. But anyways, practicing your newfound powers that are invested by Crow in the training areas. You found sleep a little easier to come by since accepting the contract. It seems that Crow's investiture has offered some kind of protection against Odim's subconscious assaults. You've noticed that Carrie has become uncharacteristically melancholy since your last outing. She's usually normally very cheerful and friendly. But she did see, she saw the two of you having lunch in the Arboretum one day and sat to join you, but she barely spoke a word the entire time. Clearly something's been disturbing her thoughts, possibly the attack on Phandling or maybe something different. Similarly, you had lunch with the Dellen's Cap caretaker, Sebastian. You guys remember Sebastian?
Yeah. He's the one that makes the music, right? Is he the same one that makes the music?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. With the Dellen's Cap caretaker, Sebastian, one day, he, however, talked almost non-stop throughout the visit. Specifically about the last visit that Nivara had with the Dellen Cap, known as Cetus. He spent the time playing music. He spends time almost every day playing music to the jellyfish for hours each day, attempting to get it sing back, but it never sings back for very long, and certainly not like it did when Nivara touched the tank. But Cetus only responds for short bursts before falling silent again like it's bored. So he kind of chats about this with you guys for a while. You haven't seen the director since she dismissed you from her office after the last debriefing. She's been, either busy, but office door closed, not seeing visitors, that kind of thing. So, anyways, it's been about a week. Do you guys do anything special during that week? Anything you guys want to note that you were doing during that downtime?
For me, probably just getting used to some of my new abilities and stuff like that. I don't think I have any other items or anything to identify, so just getting used to my new stuff, kind of.
Sure. So
as much as I can without fucking anything up.
Yeah, and you spend quite a bit of time, in the training environment, basically with the blindfold thing over your eyes, with Ophelia kind of whispering in your ear, and you kind of testing these things out in this virtual space. Now, some of it doesn't work, obviously, because a lot of your capability comes from the target having some kind of a soul inside of it, and obviously these virtual creatures don't. So that isn't, you're not able to really test it and really kind of flex the full might of what you've been given. But some of it, to an extent anyways, you're able to kind of get a feel for it, so it won't be such a surprise when you actually get to use it in the field. But in the morning hours of the 7th day since Phandalin, the director summoned you to her office. The two of you arrive to find the solemn woman seated at her plain alabaster desk, her simple white oak staff resting beside her. She looks up and gives you both a slight smile and a greeting when you enter. Good morning, guys. Sorry for being a bit absent the last few days. I was taking a much-needed breather. Time to get back to work, I guess. I have an urgent mission for the two of you. I need you to report to our contact in the city of Cragshade in the Whispers. One of our seekers has made contact with another of the true Idrilim, called the Vine Lash. These are those for your notes there.
Thank you.
She says, the Vine Lash is in possession of a woman calling herself the Viper. She has been utilizing it to wreak havoc in and around Cragshade, causing numerous environmental disasters. You will need to apprehend her and retrieve the artifact. She says, thankfully, this time I can actually provide you with a little useful information as to the nature of the relic. The Vine Lash provides its user with a considerable amount of influence over the natural world. The Vipers used it to grow vines up through the rocky desert and topple one of the pillars in Cragshade by wrapping it in crushing tendrils until it collapsed. We've been able to discover a small amount of information about the Viper, too. She grew up with a tribe of wild elves similar to your own, Nivara, but from a bit further east, called the Phalian, rather. Roll a perception on Nivara. Yeah, for sure with that role. When she mentions that, when she mentions that the Viper grew up with a tribe of wild elves that are not your tribe, you specifically, it stands out to you. It feels very awkward to you, and she doesn't react. She doesn't seem to have noticed your reaction, but to you it stands out very strangely because for the life of you, you do not remember telling her what clan you're from or where you came from. But she doesn't seem to have noticed this reaction at all, this strange happenstance, and just continues on. She says, what makes this particularly curious, however, is that the Viper would be nearly godlike in a region like a forest or a jungle where plant life is ubiquitous. But the Whispers, however, they're just barren canyons of hard rock desert. There's barely any plant life around. Her motivation isn't clear just yet, but as Cragshade is one of the financial centers of the Empire, her targets thus far have been banks and industrial edifices. We suspect that she may be aiming for some kind of fiscal upheaval. Still, she has been impossible to apprehend. Your successes have been phenomenal to this point, and we're hoping that you can continue that trend. When you're ready, we will teleport you down to an aerodrome outside of the Whispers, while you'll take an airship out to Cragshade to meet with the Seeker who reported these findings. Any questions?
I don't think so.
She mentions, okay, well, I mean, so just so you know who you're meeting when you get there, his name is Ed. He is captain of the Cragshade Militia. Act discreetly, however. His position surface side is fairly high up, and we don't want to reveal who he's working with, that he's working with a shadowy cabal like ourselves. But please gather any supplies or gear you might need and prepare for your departure. I'll have Rodolphe prepare the teleportation chamber for you. And she says you're dismissed. And she sends
All right, thank you.
Whoops. So you are back, in the administrative offices, basically. Just leaving the administrative offices, which go out towards the Arboretum, which is where all the shops and everything are. So, what are you guys doing?
Do we need to stock up on food, honey?
I don't think so, but did we do our bracers?
Oh, do we need to upgrade our bracers? Oh, and then I need to I need to go get a shield too before we go.
Yeah, you're still
I need to go to
also
Costco.
wearing. Yeah, you're still also wearing studded leather, which is light armor, and you can technically wear medium armor now. Although I don't think it's going to change your AC.
Oh yeah.
It might go up by 1. I'm not sure. Depends on what you want to buy.
Okay. Well, I'll go look.
You guys heading to the Fantasy Costco then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that all right, honey? Okay.
All right. So you guys make your way out towards into the Arboretum. As you're heading towards it, because you've been there a couple times, but this is the first time you've actually noticed it. I mean, throughout this week you've been around in the Arboretum having lunch and that kind of thing, but you've been a little distracted with everything that's been going on. You haven't necessarily paid attention or gone in to visit, but you do see that the Fantasy Costco sign is bright and lit up, and the doors are wide open. There seems to be people inside. You make your way over to it and step inside, and as soon as you walk through the door, maybe I should have that not muted. That might help. As soon as you step in through the door,
Fantasy Costco, where all your dreams come true. Got a deal for you.
their theme song plays as soon as you step in, and you make your way in through the door. You see Freggie off to one side. It looks like he's dealing with maybe a small customer service issue of some kind. But the store is wide open and big. You will need to see Freggie or another of the artificers, but Freggie is the one who usually Freginold. Here, I'll put it in there. I'm not sure if I've ever given you the notes. There you go. That's weird. Why is... Did you see that thing that I just put it in there?
The Reginald art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. My other client is not seeing it, and it should be. Damn it. Alright, well. That one is going to end up being boring. The recording will end up being largely audio, I guess, because the screen probably won't be seeing things like, maps and things like that, but that's alright. That'll be fine. Okay. Let's see where we're at. All right, so yeah, you guys step inside. The artificer Freggie is off to one side, talking to some people. But the store is wide open. You will need to speak to him, but the store is huge, and you know, there's just racks and racks of these orange steel girders, basically with shelves and you know, everything you can think of covering it. Go ahead and go into Discord, and I put a link in there. And if you click that link, it will take you to a simple list. There's a lot more than this, of course. This is just some of the simpler items that are available. Maybe this is the stuff that's on sale, let's say, but there's just a ton of other things available as well. So you both got a significant payout from turning in the Idrilim so far. I think you both have around 1,000 gold, a little under maybe. So I mean, you have quite a bit to be able to spend. But you know, these are just some of the things you can buy.
It's a lot of stuff.
Would like to, so as you're walking through, you know, kind of looking around and everything, it seems like Freggie may have divested himself from the people that he was being bothered by, and he approaches, he says, "Hi guys, it's good to see you. I kind of expected you would have, you know, stopped by a little sooner, you know, right after Hallow's End. I heard through the grapevine that you'd return another artifact, so I figured you would have dropped by with another token from the director, but what can I do for you?"
Well, I'm actually in the market for a shield and possibly some armor, if you got something.
Let's see. And he goes through, and he says, "We definitely have, I mean, shields of really of all kinds, but are you looking for something, you know, a little more special, or just kind of standard, you know, mundane fare?"
Well, let's see what the better stuff that you have is.
So he goes over the list. You know, can see the list there. It looks like the only thing that I can see in there that I have a shield for already. There are tons of other options as far as just, you know, simple shields and stuff like that too. But as far as special types, there is a throwing shield in there, which is just a rounded shield that's blunted on the edges, not spiked or anything of that sort. But it does give you an option as a bonus action. Oh no, it's just your straight action. You can throw it up to 30 feet. Damage is 1d8 plus your strength modifier. So for you, it'd be like 1d8 plus 3, I think it is for you. But it still works as a regular shield as well. So for you, not probably that useful. I mean, you have decent ranged options already. Very cool for sure. But,
yeah.
But there are, you know, certainly other things in there that might be better suited. He does mention, I would like to point out, guys, we do have the unlimited pasta pass for sale. It can be used at any participating Olive Garden for free unlimited pasta for the owner of the pass and free soft drinks for their guests. In case you guys stop by, you know, some fantasy Olive Garden. Do have the jar of bees. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a jar of bees. You could, you know, throw it at people and maybe get them stung, or, you know, just drop it and then sting yourself. You know, could be a distraction of some kind. Probably not that useful. But
If you catch us with that.
Which you know, can then, after you've let the bees out, you can then use it to fill, you know, with potions. He just kind of goes over some of the simpler items in the list there, but there's quite a bit. So go ahead and look over anything in there, anything you guys might want to buy.
All right, I gotta go run some towels downstairs real quick, G. I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay. Becky, anything in the list that looks interesting for you?
I'm reading them. Actually, a lot of them look interesting.
This is so there's all kinds of other things that are, even though they may be magical, they may not have like anything extra special. This is all the kind of extra special stuff. But there are, like, you know, stuff, so like your staff that's a +1 staff. There's plenty of things like that, and those are relatively common up here due to the nature of what the college does.
Okay.
And you, let's see, you have 973 gold at the moment. And Ben has, I think, a little bit less. He has 931. So between the two of you, I mean, you could pool your money to buy something cool or whatever. And you do have, of course, the bracer upgrades to do as well.
Okay.
gonna share the upgrades sheet and see if the other account is connected, because it doesn't seem like it is. The dummy one that I'm using to record from.
Okay.
I just shared that. Did you get the pop up for that, for the bracer upgrades?
No. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, the dummy one didn't. I should have tested that earlier. Well, that's a shame. It means the dummy account won't get to see maps and stuff like that, but that'll be all right. That was so loud that Harold heard it, and I'm wearing a headset. Harold's laying at my feet, and apparently it was loud enough because, you know, dog barking is always going to get his attention, but he heard it from my headset even though he's down at my feet.
Yeah, she's got a really deep, loud bark.
Yeah. How's that cat doing?
Oh, she's fine. She's a little pain in the ass. Alright, so what does the recharge mean?
On the upgrades?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is... Okay, yeah, so Disguise Self and Counterspell. Every time you come back to the college, it'll recharge. So if you're out for multiple days, then it would be X number per day. And, you know, as soon as basically dawn comes, you would get that again if it says day. If it says recharge, that entire outing, no matter how many days you're gone, you're only going to get that number of uses of it.
Okay.
But those are the much more powerful abilities, of course.
Okay.
You back?
Go.
All right. Yeah, look over the list, see you know, anything you might want to buy in there, and look over the bracer upgrades as well. While you're looking it over, since Becky had more time, Becky, anything you're interested in picking up?
I think I might save my money for one. There was one I was looking at now. I can't remember what it was called.
There will be more stuff added to that list, and potentially things taken off of it as well as other in-game characters buy. But there will be... You're breathing straight into the microphone, G. Can you turn it a little bit? Okay, all right. Yeah, but anyway, so as far as the stuff available, the special things available in fantasy, there's still tons of, you know, just plain +1 types of this thing and +2 types of that thing and that kind of stuff, like kind of more standard fare of magical items all over the place. Those don't really go out of stock, but the special item things, those might cycle in and out, with certainly a lot more things being added as time goes by. And you could always pool your money together as well.
The first one, the stones don't look like they'd be too bad. Stones are far speech. We could talk to each other 5 miles away. Oh,
Yeah, but when have we ever been 5 miles away from each other?
sure.
Those would be a lot more useful probably for Drost and Westra. But yeah, for Ketis and Ivar, they're usually close together. But
Some of that stuff is kind of cool, like that tankard.
just in case you want to get tore up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Or sober real quick. You sure that unlimited pasta pass just sounds great to me?
I'm actually thinking about buying it just because there's just for the novelty of it.
You probably won't come across. I'm just a heads up. You know, being the DM and having a little bit of advance notice of where things are going. Probably not going to pass a lot of fancy Olive Gardens.
I guess not.
But that one made me laugh when I saw it, so I had to put it in there. How about your bracer, Becky?
Oh, yeah, I was looking at Counterspell. I think I'm gonna go with that one.
Okay. We'll drop it on there for you. Yeah. There you go. That is a super useful, incredibly powerful spell to have. How it works, and we'll get into that, as opportunities arise, basically. You guys haven't gone up against a lot of casters yet, but you certainly will be. Obviously, Yarno was, but, there definitely will be opportunities to use that in the future. Basically how it works is it takes your reaction to do it, so it will be your reaction for that turn, and if you've already used your reaction that round, you won't be able to use it. So if you've done an opportunity attack, for example, or used shield, remember your bracer for your shield, for example, if you've already done something like that, you won't be able to use counterspell. I'm pretty sure anyway, let me check it again. I think it does. Yep, one reaction, okay. But basically, as long as you're within 60 feet of somebody and you see them begin to cast a spell, and I'll give you enough advance notice, you'll be able to tell, especially Nivara having some arcane capabilities. She's not really arcane caster, she's a divine caster, but being familiar with magic anyway, we'll be able to identify when a target is starting to cast a spell, and you'll have the opportunity to use counterspell if you want to.
Okay.
And also how that works is if the spell they're casting, you use it. You just tell me you're going to counterspell it, and that takes a charge away as soon as you've said that. But basically, the spell they're casting, if it's I think for you it'll be whatever your highest spell level is, I think is what we'll use. So 4th level, whatever. Basically, if it's of 4th level or below, you'll just instantly it'll stop. The spell will be mute. It'll muffle rather. If it's above that, you have to make a roll. You have to make a check to see if you succeed in counterspelling it or not.
Okay, I got most of that. The only thing I missed was when I say what?
So as soon as you, so basically the NPC, the target, is starting to cast something, and you tell me you're going to use counterspell. At that point, we mark off a charge, and then we decide whether we'll figure out basically whether or not it was successful for you to counterspell it or not.
Okay.
G.
Alright, the fantasy Costco stuff, I didn't see anything on the special list that I'm going to bother with for now.
Okay.
So I'm looking over some of the bracer upgrades now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna save my money for that ring.
Which one?
I didn't even see it.
The it was the ring of recall. Once per day, the wearer of the ring may recover the slot used on a failed spell.
There you go.
Oh, on a failed spell?
Yeah.
Neat.
Which, if you were to be able to get 2, that would be incredibly powerful for Ketis as well.
I was going to say for me especially.
Yeah, so Nivara has spell slots. I mean, not that, her high-level spell slots are still very valuable, but she does have, a few, whereas Ketis only has 2 spell slots. So
No, I've got that. I've still got that storing ring though too.
yeah, which mechanically works similarly to having a third spell slot, which you still have a fireball in there, by the way, which you don't have access to fireball anymore. So that's kind of your last fireball once you use it out of the ring. Bracer upgrade, G.
All right, let me see. You know what? Actually, I think I might come in handy. Go with dispel magic.
Okay.
Is that the same thing that Becky just did?
No, that's a little bit different.
I did counter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I think I'll go with dispel magic, so then I can drop buffs off of people if
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah, and
That's how
you
it
know,
works,
if you-
right?
Yep. And if you think that somebody could be,
What mine is? That's what mine is, right?
yeah, yours is. Counterspell stops somebody from casting a spell in the moment. Dispel magic is something that there's like an aura on a place, or like an illusion, or you know, a buff or something like that. You can break it. You can stop it. Basically, you can break it.
Okay.
All right, let me
I'll go
get
with
that
that.
for you. There you go.
Okay. And then there's a place in the books in the library to look for the basic armor weapons and stuff, right?
Yeah. Let me bring that up for you. I think I can share this sheet to you. Maybe not. Go to library and then items and then click armor at the top.
Okay.
Spell magic is twice a day. So you guys both, back to narrative here, while you're kind of figuring out what kind of mundane gear that you're looking for, you both go with Fredgy up to the Artificer's counter there and you take them off and hand over your bracers. And you know, your Nivara's wooden one, and Kiedis' steel. And he kind of pulls this big magnifying glass over and kind of places it between his face and the countertop where he's got the bracers there, and starts etching into these with this arcane purple pen, like a scalpel almost, with a little arcane purplish light coming out of the tip of it. But while he's kind of etching these new runes into the open space on the bracers there, which that is the third for both of you, by the way. There's only 3 slots for runes, and you filled all 3, both of you. So I mean, you can always swap things out, but you do have 3 in there now, meaning you couldn't add a 4th without removing one of the existing runes. But anyway, so those are, as he's working on those, you guys walk back to kind of mundane sections and looking through gear. What are you looking for, G?
Alright, gonna pick up a breastplate, because that's the best I can do without getting stealth disadvantage. Because I can wear medium now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's going to cut a big chunk out of your gear. Yeah, you probably wouldn't have been able to buy much of interesting stuff in the meantime anyway, just because you would be spending so much on this. 40, yeah. I mean, it's 1 more point of AC, I think, because you'd be...
Mine's just only 12 right now.
Well,
Because I'm wearing studded leather.
No, you're well, because of your dex bonus, you're at 15, is your AC. But the max of 2 means that 14 would make that 16, so you'll get 1 more AC bonus, 1 more point of AC. With a shield, will put you to 18. When you're not using your shield, you'll be at 16 for the breastplate.
Okay.
And that's 400 gold. Do you want to go with that?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the employees kind of
And
pulls
then I'll
one
grab a
down
shield
those-
too.
Okay. Goes up on one of those annoying tall ladders that you got to wheel over and then stomp on to get it to stand still, and climbs up to one of the top shelves to bring one down for you. The one next to it's all dinged up, but he brings down one that is, you know, in fine shape. Put that in worn. And equipped. It is definitely much heavier, but you're still not, you know, at risk of running out. Alright, so that puts you at 530. And a plain shield.
Yeah, I only see one kind of shield on here.
What's what style? Like, do you want like a heater or a round shield?
Yeah, probably like a heater or a kite or something like that.
Okay. We'll go heater. A kite might be a little bit big for your mobility.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna list the shield as not being on in case you're basically same way that we handle it for Westra. So when you want to use it, you will put the effect on, and that'll mean you can't do something with your offhand because you're holding your shield in your offhand. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. I already put it on your thing there. You actually have your shield master abilities and your shield there. So you would just hit the effect for it, and it would expire on the next round. But your base AC, not with the shield on, is now 16. All right. Are we all done with the shopping stuff? Anything else you guys need to pick up?
Am I wearing? I can wear studded, right? Or is it just leathers?
Wait.
If you can wear light, you can wear studded, I think.
Light and medium, so you could wear anything that's not metal is what you can wear. So studded leather, I think, might be the. Yeah, I think studded leather would probably be the heaviest you could wear that isn't metal. Unless you get something crafted specifically for you.
Okay.
Which actually for you, I think studded would be the same. I don't see armor on you at all.
That's what I was just looking at. I was like, I don't see what I have.
Oh, you never mind. No. Because of barbarian, you wouldn't want to wear anything. You want to be wearing just like hides or light, basically nothing, no armor, because you're barbarian bonus.
That's why you did that.
Yeah, you would be at the same. Yeah, you'd be at the same AC as you would be as if you were wearing studded. But because you're barbarian, you get to add your con bonus, so you're getting your full dex bonus plus your con bonus, which puts you to the same AC as if you were wearing studded armor, or any of the heaviest medium that you would be able to wear.
Alright, then I think the only thing I need to do is just restock my arrows.
Okay. So you head back to the fletching area and pull out what it needed, looks like 8. But as you're pulling them out, the employee that's back there kind of just looks over and sees who you are and looks very surprised. And you go to hand him coins, but he looks around and kind of just sheepishly just kind of waves you off. Like, they're not worth very much anyway, and they don't really charge generally for especially for field agents. But certainly for you guys, like, he doesn't really know how to respond. So he kind of just waves you off and doesn't charge anything for those. And you've restocked your quivers then. Anything else you guys need to do with Fantasy Costco?
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to change out your preparation? You'll have time. You can do that now, but you know basically where you're going and what you might be facing, or at least a general idea. So if you want to change out what spells you have prepared, go ahead. But we'll go ahead and move on if you guys are done in the Fantasy Costco.
I believe so. Yeah, because I don't think we need food. So let me see.
I don't worry about a lot of the minor things, particularly for balance so much. There could be circumstances where it would matter, but for these guys generally, it's a little less realism, I guess you could say, than there are for Gross and Westra, where we definitely, food and water and things like that matter more. Okay, so you guys heading off to the teleportation chamber then?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
Becky?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys make your way over, you head out and back into the to the Arboretum, and over towards the teleportation chamber. You step in, and Rodol's already there, ready to go, standing by the door. He kind of gives you, a nice smile. A little bit. You've noticed that the last couple of times, especially since I guess since you came back from Vandalin, there's almost like a worried look to him a little bit, like he's concerned for you guys, because the last time you came back was really the only time he'd seen you all beaten up, and before that you'd almost seemed invincible to most of the people up here. You'd already returned 2 of the Idrilim with what seemed to them like minimal effort, although it was still dangerous situations for the 2 of you, but you hadn't come back and significantly beaten up or burned like you did after Phandalin. And then, of course, Carrie, who there's a little bit of cautiousness. They don't really approach you guys as much because you're, like I said, it's not a little bit of a celebrity to them, whereas Carrie has been with them for a long time. So, when she was down there with them and seeing her beaten up, when they do talk to her regularly, something that has given them a little bit of, specifically Rodal, a little bit of trepidation in approaching you guys. So, but anyway, you step in there. He's got everything ready to go. He gives you a polite wave. He would offer you some hooch, but it doesn't sound like you're gonna need it. And you step into the center of the room. He reaches down, presses a little rune on the center of his bracer. A blue circle snaps to the ground around you, and then snaps shut and closes you inside of it. And you go careening through a bluish tunnel down towards the surface. And you operate in a tiny 10-foot square, otherwise unoccupied room with a wide open archway leading out into an unimaginably massive hangar. The ceiling must be 200 feet above, and from here appears to consist of a thin net of framing with glass panels between, making this hangar appear to be all but outdoors. The floor is densely packed with travelers of all kinds. They're all going this way and that in kind of a noisy, disorganized fashion, each of them carrying various bits of luggage. It instantly reminds you of the tram station in the Undervard, only multiplied dramatically. There are 4 massive towers, just wooden structures, inside of this place, inside of this 200-foot tall building. And each of these are ringed by stairs that lead up to wide platforms. So there's basically a wooden, stairs that surround the whole thing, just going in circle all the way up until you get up to these wide platforms. At 2 of these platforms, there are great wooden ships that hang from gargantuan balloons, docked and presumably boarding or unboarding passengers. No one seems to take much notice of you. You actually notice that there are a couple of these chambers along the sides, like this is intentionally where people teleport into to get onto these airships. You do notice, once you've kind of stepped out and started kind of taking notice of the place and looking around, there's a stiff breeze, just a real strong breeze blowing through this place. It's a wide open, airy space. It seems like the glass ceiling is really just to keep maybe the rain off of travelers that are coming and going. But there's otherwise it essentially feels outdoors. But as you kind of step out, you notice a small and somewhat beaten up ship pulling into one of the empty towers. But from here, you don't see anybody at the top of that platform, and no one's climbing the stairs to get to it, to this one small ship. What do you guys do?
I guess we'll go check out that small ship then, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
less
probably,
crowded.
Yeah.
I mean, does it look like it's working, right? I mean,
it's functioning. It doesn't look like it looks beaten up. There's definitely a couple of holes in the hull, and it's much smaller than the others. It doesn't look like not a freighter. It doesn't look like, if you were to think of airplanes, it doesn't look like an Airbus. It looks like a private jet, like a small plane.
Yeah.
Of equivalence as far as style of number of passengers it could hold and things like that. It doesn't look like kind of a professional passenger ship. So you make your way over towards the tower, kind of pushing your way through these crowds and crowds of people that are just completely indifferent. Some of them seem to be tourists, people from lands that you may be vaguely familiar with, but not native to this area. You don't exactly know even where you are. You just know you were teleported down to the surface. But some people that definitely maybe don't speak the language and that kind of thing. You kind of work your way through them though, make your way over to the tower, and begin the long climb. And it takes you a good 5 minutes of just step after step after step, going all the way up around these circles. And thankfully, Ketis has gotten some rest finally. No exhaustion to be concerned with. No word from Odim basically in the last week now. But you make your way all the way up to the top. You make your to the platform there. The platform's empty when you get up there. You do look over to the ship. You see maybe a half dozen crew members that are working around the ship, and a woman standing on the deck near the wheel. That as you guys kind of crest the top of the platform, looks over towards you and starts walking over towards the side of the ship to, kind of wave you aboard. The ship's completely empty, except for the crew and this woman. She is, as you approach, you can see her a little better. She's wearing kind of a little bit of a revealing outfit, 2 large cutlasses, one on each hip. Yeah, it's a shame that's not going to work. I shared you an image. There you go. She introduced herself. She says, "I'm Captain Honora. This is the Barossa. I was hired to take a couple out to the Whispers. I assume that's you?
That is us.
I'm sharing another one. This is the Barossa, the ship. She says, well, go ahead and come aboard. Make yourselves comfortable. As I've been told, this trip could have hazards. There won't be any other passengers, and the price that was paid to take you out there was exorbitantly high. Whoever your benefactors are seem to want to make sure you arrive safely. So we'll be taking care of that for you. Really, just you're welcome to retire to the cabins and have a rest. We expect probably about 3 hours, assuming no interruptions, and we'll see you there safely.
Thank you.
And so as soon as you guys, kind of step aboard and set your things down, make yourselves a little bit comfortable. Are you staying on the deck? You're going into the cabins?
I think I want to check it out for a minute first. I'm going to step here.
Okay. The view is incredible. You're about, so the ceiling is 200 feet up, but you didn't climb 200 feet because there's got to be room for these giant balloons that the ships are hanging under. And this ship is much smaller, of course, than the two others that you see at the other platforms. And those seem to take forever to board and onboard. But you basically are on this massive ship with a huge gray balloon above you that does block out pretty much everything. That you can't see anything up, really. But just looking down even off of the deck of this ship, you're looking down probably 130 feet, which is, you don't spend a lot of time high up. And even being up on the station looking down to the surface is one thing, but being this high up and looking down to these itty-bitty little ants of people that are walking down below is a very new experience and fun for you. And with that, though, Nora starts shouting out to the crew to prepare for debarking, and they begin to pull away from it, or from the platform there. Oops, not that one. And you guys begin to make your way out from under the hangar. There's just an incredible view of the surroundings. There's just open plains for miles until the edges of you're kind of sailing out from mostly green. You're not seeing a lot of desert just yet, but you kind of make your way out from under this hangar, and as soon as you get out from under the roof of this netted glass area, the ship kind of banks slowly off to the right, which has its own kind of odd feeling because the ship tilts a little bit, like it has to tilt, so that the floor underneath you begins to rotate to the left. Basically, you would have, if you weren't prepared for this, you would potentially be falling over to the right, but it banks off to the right a little ways and begins to make its way east. There are these massive steel propellers that are just spinning lazily. They don't appear to be for propulsion at all, but maybe just for direction or something, but they're kind of spinning with the wind that's blowing between them. And this kind of slow Zeppelin really starts to make its way east. In a short while, only about 10-15 minutes, you start to see in the distance the edges of a redstone desert appear. The sky is just filled with bright gray clouds, the sun barely peeking through, but under the balloon you can't really see a lot there. Over the port side much of the time. But you make this kind of slow trip towards this red and orangish stone desert off in the east. It's a quiet trip for a while. This ship doesn't move very fast, and like I said, it's a little bit beat up. It looks like maybe this crew had some less than legal kind of dealings before, and maybe that was why this is the kind of ship that the college would pay for to keep the trip quiet, because remember, you guys are kind of a clandestine organization. But you make your way out to the east. Roll a perception, both of you.
All right. Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
Nivara, you're kind of sitting there. Did you get your spells prepared? Looks like.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's still the same amount of spell, right?
Yeah.
That didn't go up?
Yeah, that. I think it did. I think it's to 10. I think it's your druid level in half. Honestly, I'm not even too worried about preparation really for you. The way that divine casters should work. I think you'll probably very soon here just have access to all of your spells at any given time. I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed with it, with not knowing what all of your spells do. And since you have a million choices, that could be tricky. So you just got 4th level spells with your last level too, so it looks like you chose Stone Skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got Bark Skin. Oh, I was saying I got rid of Bark Skin and got Dark Vision instead.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you have 4th level stuff. Okay, cool. So you are Nivara's. You both are kind of enjoying just sitting out on the deck. It's the skies are gray, it's just thick gray clouds all over the place, but they're a light gray. It's not storm clouds. Just kind of a overcast. But it's a very pleasant flight, and something somewhat unique really to you guys. You haven't really gotten to experience this, but very relaxing, and it feels great to just be out in nature, and I mean almost fully immersed in it since you're kind of flying through the air this way. It's not necessarily a forest like you might prefer, but flying through the air like this and just kind of being immersed in these kinds of clouds and things like that is a really great feeling. So you kind of fall into a deep, nice relaxation. You kind of lean against one of the barristers and sitting on a crate and are flipping through the tome, not really noticing anything too much beyond just kind of relaxing and enjoying the surroundings. But Ketis, on the other hand, still a little on edge after the kind of torture that he went through with Odim, is kind of eyes flitting back around and being very aware of the surroundings. Ketis begins to notice a sound, a singing almost, that is coming from somewhere nearby. Can't quite place it, but you're starting to hear a song, and it's beginning to get louder and louder, and it sounds like a chorus. It sounds like women's voices singing together. And at first, you're the only one that notices it, but over the span of about a minute, as it gets louder and louder, the crew begins to notice it as well. And Honora, immediately, as soon as she is kind of brought to attention and notices this, she shouts out to her crew, and the song immediately stops. The chorus immediately stops. But the moment that it stops, you see Honora fly into a controlled panic, eyes wide, shouting to her crew, Fritz, Davy, someone below decks now. Give us all the speed we can muster. The 3 deckhands rush down below the stairs at her command, while the remaining 2 crew members draw their cutlasses in defensive positions and step away from the banisters, looking back and forth across the sky. Honora shouts again, this time only to you two. She says, in the cabin, go! And she points aggressively towards the door. Just then, your eyes catch movement against the gray clouded sky. You're both looking up. I've already throw your book away real quick, back in your bag. You see a group of 3 winged creatures resembling women with bird-like features that slowly begin to dip into view below the balloon, like they had been above the balloon, or at least above your eye line there, each beating their wings in lockstep with each other, staring straight ahead. You hear a muffled shout from one of the crew members behind, and turn to see another trio lowering into view on the starboard side. You hear Honora's twin cutlasses ring out as she draws them both from her hips, shouting, protect the rigging or we're all dead. And at her shout, one of the harpies slowly turns its gaze towards the deck of the ship, looking straight at the 2 of you. Its avian features split, and it begins to sing again, just as a mass of black feathers and razor-sharp beaks, or talons rather, blitzes into view, tearing towards the deck and a crewman. And roll initiative. Hey, the sound. Okay, did you guys hear that sound? No?
No. Oh, sorry, honey.
Ouch. Damn. I'm gonna share the VAs for you guys. This is what you're looking at.
What'd you do, honey?
You rolled a
I
1.
rolled a natural 20 and I rolled you a 1. I'm sorry.
She got a natural 20, you got a 1.
Jeez. Oh, Griffins do not destroy harpies?
Yeah, that one. So there was a big. Basically, as soon as you started seeing these the feathered women, the harpies, as soon as you started seeing them, you kind of looked around, and Nora pulls her cutlasses out, and then you see just a huge mass of black feathers just bolt towards the deck and towards one of the crewmen, and that's just a massive griffin.
Okay.
These 3 harpies. But their sizes are wrong, so I've got to fix those. And let me show you guys the map. Go ahead and drop yourselves wherever you would be. Let me reveal these guys too. You guys can see everybody. There you go.
All right. How do we get our tokens off the combat tracker?
Oh, sorry. Here. I'm just going to put you on the board. You go ahead and move yourselves wherever you want to be. Wherever you would have been. It's not a very big ship, so I mean there isn't a lot of space, but drop yourselves wherever you would have been. Don't do it where it would be necessarily tactically advantageous, but drop yourself where you would have been. Where Ketis would have been enjoying this trip from, if he would have been, at the bow of the ship or what.
That probably would have been. Well,
I'm assuming I would be
I think I probably would have been like up in here,
probably up
looking over the
here
side.
and looking down.
Sure. Okay. All right, and let's go ahead and get started then. The first to go is Navarre with her natural 20.
It's not me.
Nope, you're going to be a while, G.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
You might want to get a snack.
I'm probably just looking over. I don't even know that anything's here. I'm looking over the side still.
No, I mean,
enjoying
you
the day.
definitely saw these. The 3 of them are right in front of you. In fact, those 3 look straight at you.
Yeah.
So what you doing, Becky?
Oh, shoot, my turn. All right.
Yep, you're first. You see...
Oh, who is that?
Who's what?
Is that a crew member? Never mind.
That's
Yeah,
the
there's 2.
captain.
So on the deck, there are 2 crew members. Oh, shit. Sorry, they're not hostile. Let me change their faction. There are 2 crew members and then the captain and Aura. There are 3 more crew members that are below decks. Basically, there's 5 crew members and an Aura total on the ship, which, you can see them on the map there, but 3 of them are below decks, and 2 on the deck, one of which is in melee range anyway with that griffin, and then the captain who is back by the wheel.
Alright. Well, first off, I'm going to use... Now, wait a minute. Do I have to use an actual arrow for this one?
To do what?
Flame arrow.
I don't know. Let me look. Flame arrows.
Yeah, it says I have to touch the quiver.
Yeah, so you're still using your arrows to do it. They just take an extra 1d6 fire damage, and it's concentration, so you'll be, you'll need to leave it up, basically.
Alright, well, I'm going to start with that then.
And it'll affect up to 12 arrows for this one shot for up to an hour. Okay, so you're gonna put up flame arrows?
Yeah.
Okay, that is your action to do so. So go ahead and cast that and mark off your spell slot.
There is no cast.
Let me add that for you, sorry. It's the second one, so click the effect. The one that says Flame Arrows C, self, there you go. Yep, that's it. And that is on you now, so that is your concentration effect, which means that if you get hit, there's a chance that could be interrupted and you would lose your concentration. But that is your action. Any bonus actions you want to take?
I don't think so, because I'm still fully healed.
You could, if you wanted to, you could shillelagh your stick. That's not concentration, so you'd have both options. It's a bonus action that wouldn't it's not concentration or anything else, but you would at least have something to do that if you needed to get in a melee, your stick would be shillelaghed.
Okay, well then yeah, let's do that then.
Okay, and go ahead and hit the shillelagh, the effect for the self. Okay, so you seeing all of this happen, you kind of yank your bow off of your back and reach one hand back and touch your quiver. That's kind of around your lower back, and just touch it, and the arrows begin to kind of light up a little bit and glow, and then reach reach that same hand back and touch the stick as it sprouts these small thorns and vines and shit, all these little barbs growing out of it, and just kind of ready yourself for the next for anything to move. Ready for your turn?
I'm actually gonna move to this. Oop, nope.
Let's not jump
go.
off. That's a couple hundred feet down.
yeah.
So.
No, I actually meant to move there so I don't get knocked off.
Yeah, so there the surrounding walls there are, let's call it 4 feet up. You know, they're decently high so that you couldn't accidentally fall off easily. And you know, since you're only a little over 5 feet tall, it would take some effort to get you thrown over the edge. All right, it is this crew member's turn. It is, both of these two are men. They've already yanked their cutlasses out, and he is going to charge over and try to swing at this griffin.
Okay, do I have 2 or 3 spell slots, G? I can't remember. I don't think it's showed on here. 2, okay.
Yeah, it does show them on there. Oh shit, no it doesn't.
I was going to say I didn't see him.
Let me fix that for you, sorry. Pact Magic, you have 2 4th level slots right now. There you go, I just fixed it.
Cool. Thanks.
Yep, and then you have your Shield Master and your ring with Fireball in it and all that stuff. So you have a crazy kit of stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get used to it all.
Yeah. But swings at the griffin, so that the griffin is kind of raking these claws at the other crew member, and this one kind of runs in behind it, and the cutlass isn't space to hold it a second hand. There is no room on the pommel for a second one, but still kind of rears himself back. Maybe he's used to using a larger sword, great sword or something, but kind of holds his hand with it as if it was going to help at all. Makes no difference whatsoever. It kind of swings it down as if it was a two-handed weapon into trying to cut into the rump of this thing, like towards the tail, and sinks into it. Wrong one, and I just made him cut himself on accident. There we go. Cuts a deep gash into the hip of this thing, into this griffin that screams and kind of snaps its bird-like beak towards him, and that's it for his turn. This harpy here is looking over. They were both kind of looking at the two of you, but this one is going towards the rigging. And you did hear her mention that if they cut the rigging, you're all dead. You heard the captain say this. And this one flies over towards a rope that is connected to the balloon above, and is going to, with her claws and a small knife, trying to slash at the rigging. She is cutting at it, but it doesn't appear to be having much effect. Next harpy. This one is going to fly straight at Ketis. This is the one that actually smiled at you at Ketis and started to sing again. Is because you're so close, just going to kind of dive straight down at you and slashes your face with her claws. And hits. Slashes just a nasty gash across the face. Just three wide streaks across your cheek, just over the whole side of your face. That's it for her turn. No reaction. You're not going to use a parry or anything?
No, that one I'll let go, but I was going to ask, do I have to wait for my turn?
Do you what? You cut out.
Do I have to wait for my turn to start before I can equip my shield? Before I can put it on?
Okay.
Because I have a turn yet, so I don't know if I had a chance to ready it.
Hit anyway. I would say you would have been. I mean, you could have just yanked it off of your back and pulled it up, because you weren't surprised, and you specifically noticed the perception. So I would say that you could go ahead and have your shield up.
Okay.
But that one still would have hit anyway.
No problem. I'm going to put my shield on now then.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, you did it right too. Nice. So you kind of, as soon as you saw these things, kind of coming down into view, you yanked your shield off of your back, threw it up on your arm, and kind of held it up. But this thing, as she flew down towards you, kicked into your shield with her taloned feet, and just knocked your shield just enough out of the way that she could bring her arm around and just swipe you across the face. Enora is seeing this, is trying to keep the ship righted. Doesn't have anything to be able to reach anybody. She's trying to keep the ship under control, but more importantly is getting them off of the rigging. So she is going to try to run towards this griffin here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. She can get to there. And is shouting orders to the, as soon as she gets to where because she's at the steps basically that lead down towards the below decks, she's shouting orders to the crew members below. This harpy here is going to go to another, swing up to this to try to get to another set of the ropes that are holding the balloon. And she actually does begin to, from your vantage point, both of you can see that she's cutting into the ropes, and it looks to be successful. She looks like she's getting into the rope a little bit. This harpy is going to do the same thing over here. It doesn't look like she's like she's just not getting into the rope very quickly. Doesn't look like the rope over there is in much risk at the moment. This crew member is going to swing at the griffin that's in front of it and hits. And this harpy is going to try to surround Ketis here and try to claw at Ketis. Did I grab the wrong one? Nope. So the second one, basically, this first one comes down and kind of kicks your shield out of the way and slashes you across the face, and you bring your shield back up to kind of try to push her away, and in so doing, you know, kind of in the same movement there, end up kind of knocking away the claws of another one that tries to slash at you.
Okay.
And Griffin's turn. It is going to snap its beak at the one that slashed it across the butt, and bites deep into its arm, into the crew member. And then it's going to rake its claws at the other one that's in front of it. But completely misses it. In fact, the raking movement of the claws goes so wide, and the thing is kind of at an awkward position with the ship starting to slowly bank off to one side as the ropes are being cut, that it slips out from under itself and lands on its side. It's prone for the short time being. Just it rolled a natural one. Right, it is temporarily prone. It is Ketis' turn finally.
Okay.
You've got 2 harpies directly in front of you, slashing you, and 3 that are slashing at rigging, and 1 that hasn't acted yet.
Sorry, I'm just asking your circle.
Oh, good.
That's all interesting.
If you're checking what I think you're checking, think twice, I guess I could say.
Yeah, because I don't know if I can get the 3 of them without hitting 2 crew
What are you
members.
trying to do?
I'm going to use that fireball out of my ring.
You're
20-foot radius.
You're standing on a wooden ship with ropes.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that either. So.
Yeah, you
God
would
damn
burn through all the ropes, and then you'd all fall and plummet to your deaths.
We'll be faster than the harpies cutting in.
That's true.
Okay. Let's see. Alright, I guess I got no fancy tricks this time. See if I can hit number 5 here. Actually, no, they're not even cutting anything up yet.
I'm gonna go ahead and delete that circle there.
Okay, thanks. Number 2 is the one that got successfully cutting in, because
Yep.
the one...
Yeah, 2 was
Below,
successfully
okay.
cutting in the ropes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, move there and see if I can hit number 2 with an arrow.
An arrow.
Crossbow. Full.
You could knock it away from those if you used your death knell. Repelling blast.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Okay, good. So that's the new...
Yeah, that's your Eldritch Blast as death knell.
Okay.
It also deafens them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Ringing bells in their ears. Okay, So you kind of step just away from these, and in so doing, Harpy 5 gets an opportunity attack against you. You hadn't tried to hit it yet, so it's going to swing at you with its claws while you're trying to step away. Put your shield back up. Shit.
Oh.
It is your turn, which means the shield drops. So you would have lowered it to step away. Are you choosing to put it? Would take your. It means you can't use an offhand attack if you do it. It doesn't take your bonus action or anything else to do it, but it means you wouldn't be able to use an offhand attack or anything two-handed.
Okay. I think
if you use your Eldritch Blast, it wouldn't matter if you're going to use 2 blasts of Eldritch Blast for your attack.
Yeah, okay, and then with my regular attacks, it's just 2 regular attacks. I don't have an offhand swing, right? So even if I have my shield, I can swing one-handed twice, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You just wouldn't be able to use the versatile part to use a 1d10. It would be 1d8s instead is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then,
Which shield
yeah,
back
so
up?
I'll pop it back then.
Just remember to do that on every Just remember to do that on every turn if you're going to. So you kind of get ready to step away, and you're not disengaging. So this one is trying to swing at you as you're stepping out, and you kind of are prepared for this, knowing that it's going to try to swing at you. And you just throw your shield up at it, and you hear the raking of these kind of talons against the steel of the shield. And it just kind of scrapes across the front of it like nails off of a chalkboard. Doesn't touch you at all. And then you step over to one side. You're still within melee range of 14 technically, so that's why 14 is not getting an opportunity attack. But you step over to one side and kind of hold that same arm out that the shield is buckled onto. You hold your hand out and extend it out towards it, and a roiling ball of black mist just flings out from it and streaks out and smacks it into the head, and knocks. I assume you wanted to knock it back as well.
Yeah, definitely get him off of that.
Okay. It knocks her back, and she actually hits into the side of this not a mast, main is what it's called. I can't remember the beam basically that the rigging is all attached to. But she smacks into that, and she looks just dazed and like she can't concentrate for a moment. She's actually deafened from it as she's hearing the ringing of bells in her head. But for a second there, because of the distracted attack, this explosion in her head, her wings kind of fail underneath her, and she begins to dip as she falls under. She falls down about 10 feet before she can right herself. You're going to make another shot?
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can hit her again.
Okay, same one. Go ahead and roll your damage for that one.
Okay. Oh, damn it. I hit the wrong thing, sorry.
Well, that would have been your second attack, or your second shot, but go ahead and roll your damage for the first one.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you blast her into the head, and she kind of slams into this mast thing and starts to fall a little bit. Go ahead and roll you're going to shoot her again, was your intent?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and roll your second one. And as she's kind of beginning to fall, you hold your hand out and just, where you still were, I guess, and just aim it down a little bit and shoot not where she is, but where she's going to be, and end up smacking her. This time it can't hit her in the head just from the angle that you're shooting, but it hits her right in the back where the wings are attached, and you see kind of a little small puff of feathers just poof out of it and begin to fall. Go ahead and roll the damage on that one. Okay. She looks pretty badly wounded from that, actually, and there's a big, just a bleeding mass coming out of where the wings connect, and her back, so she's just pouring blood out of there, but she's still intact. Any bonus actions?
Let me see. No, I'm okay still then, so I am good.
Okay. Go ahead and get the next turn thing.
There we go.
Okay.
Cool.
Last harpy to move. She is going to, seeing one of her sisters just get attacked, is screaming and is hurtling herself straight towards you. But can only get to about there. And that's it for her turn. Actually, she is going to dash. She's going to use her turn to dash to get all the way to you. She just won't have an action. So she's now right behind you. But she doesn't have it's not her turn. It is Becky's turn.
none of the other ones actually managed to cut through, right?
2 had cut there's the rope that is basically where she was. There are 6 total ropes that are connecting the balloon, and the six that go all the way over. If it's cut on either side, it's ruined. So the 6 basically connection points, and one of them is cut about halfway through right now. And that was the one that it was 2, but there are 2 others, sorry, that are trying to cut, which is the 2 on the south. Okay, so you look over, you see this small stairs there, and kind of hurry your way down the stairs and rush over to the side of the deck there. What are you doing?
I'm going to shoot that one with because my flame arrow's still up, right?
Yeah, that'll be up for an hour, or 12 arrows, whichever comes first.
Okay.
Or if your concentration gets broken, but otherwise it will stay up.
Oh man.
You take aim at this one, and where it's which one was that you were trying to hit? 21? Yeah, okay. So that's the one that's closer to you. Okay. You kind of, as you're running, you kind of pull this orange glowing arrow and go to knock it and go to take the shot. But just as you do, the ship begins to jostle a little bit. Without the captain at the wheel there, every movement on the side of this thing, without it being righted by her, is making the ship just kind of shake a little bit under your feet. Basically, you're feeling every tiny movement of the ropes being pulled from one of them trying to slash it, for example. And there's just a little bit of a jostle just in time. You release the arrow too soon, and it goes sailing way off, and you see this kind of orange glowing streak just kind of go way off in the distance and slowly begin to fall towards the earth. Another shot.
Do I have another shot? I thought I only had one.
You do only have one. Why was I thinking you had 2?
Because I think Westra has 2.
Yeah, Western does have 2. Yep, that's it. Okay. So you have a bonus action?
No. Okay.
All right. Crew member just going to try to slash at the Griffin there. And since the Griffin was kind of slung over onto its side, and it basically was at disadvantage, and the crew member just swings the cutlass down, just trying to hack away at its legs to keep it from being able to get back up, and cuts a deep gash into it. 21 is the one that was that you just shot at. It looks over at you and gives this horrible, awkward bird-like scream at you, seeing that you were trying to shoot it, and is going to try to dig further into the ropes, like just trying to swing itself around so that it's batting its wings, but holding on to this thing to kind of put its this rigging between you and it, and manages to cut into the rope, and you see the rope begin to fray there. Next harpy is this one is going to, seeing that she's got 2 sisters that are kind of already harassing Ketis, is going to move back to try to cut into this rope here, and definitely sinks into it. So you've got 3 ropes now that have significant fraying. Enora is trying to she doesn't have much to be able to take care of those guys. She shouts to you guys, hey, take care of the harpies, we'll take care of the Griffin, or we'll take care of this beast. And she runs over and begins to hack at the Griffin that's laying it flat. Still manages to miss with 1. She's got 2. And hits the second time. So it doesn't appear to have hurt it very much, but she and her 2 crew members that are on the deck are trying to kind of keep this thing from being able to get back up. 6 is seeing where they're all at, actually, is going to try to harry Nivara, because Nivara is not otherwise invested anywhere. Is going to fly straight at you, just kind of a straight bolt, aiming straight at your face with both claws, and try to claw into you, and just misses, goes wide, ends up kind of on she swings towards you, but you kind of just step out of the way, and she ends up kind of careening against the deck. She's not prone, but immediately just stands herself back up, basically, and is now standing on the deck next to you. 2 is where? 2 is that one is going to try to cut into the ropes. Does not. So that one doesn't appear to be, like, she's still struggling with that rope there. Because you guys are so far apart on the initiative order, it's basically both of you go, and then everybody else goes. Crew member tries to swing at the griffin and misses. Alright, and this harpy is going to try to slash at Ketis's back. No, Ketis is actually facing that way, so she's basically over your left shoulder, trying to swing at you. You don't need to.
Okay.
She actually rolled a 1 anyway. This is 3 times I think that they've rolled natural 1s. But you're still kind of, your arm is still, the hand is still extended facing the one that's out there at the distance, and she comes in and tries to rake at you, but you just in time see it, and you just barely move your elbow, and the rake just goes across the shield, doesn't touch you. But you actually get a bonus, it's only 3, temp HPs, because she rolled a natural 1.
Nice.
Griffin is going to stand up. And slash with its beak at this crew member. And misses. Jesus Christ, these guys are fucking worthless. And God, alright. This is a little annoying. Ketis' turn. So the griffin stands at, rights itself back up, has been kind of just jabbed and slashed all over the place from all over its left flank, but stands itself back up and tries to bite and then swing its claws at this crew member and misses both times. Your turn.
Alright. I'm gonna put my shield back up.
Yep. Good that you're remembering that.
Okay. And then number 5 is doing a good number on the ropes over there, isn't it?
5 has successfully cut halfway through.
Okay. Alright.
And as for, let's see, for health on these, crew member's been beat up a little bit. Harpy number 2 is pretty badly injured. The griffin is pretty badly cut up, but otherwise no one's touched. Other than Ketis. Ketis has a slash across the face.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can hit a number 5 with the data flow.
To knock it away?
Yeah, try to get her off the rope.
Okay. Yeah, so this one, you kind of just barely have to turn your hand off to the left. You're still holding Ruin in one hand and your shield extended with on your left arm, but you basically kind of just move your hand through, and as this, the one that's directly in front of you that just slashes your shield and missed, is directly in front of you. So I mean, you're basically holding your hand almost in her beaked face, but you hold your hand extended and you're kind of aiming just above, and as her wings flap and she moves up, you kind of wait just a half second for her weight to kind of bring her back down. Her wings come back up, and now there's this kind of hole right above her head and between her wings. And you shoot it just at that moment and send out just a roiling ball of shadow that it just immediately smacks straight into this one, and just you see the eyes ring a little bit, and that almost not familiar, but one you just saw from the other harpy of her head just kind of being confused for a moment of this noise that is immediately just ringing these death knell bells in its head. But she kind of gets knocked away a little bit. You want to push her away?
Yeah.
Okay, so she goes to there. Go ahead and roll your damage. Not rolling real well either. But it did knock her away. You're going to shoot her again? Or are you going to shoot somebody else?
I think I'm going to see if I can finish off too. I just wanted to get her off the damn rope.
Okay. So you swing your hand back towards the other one instead to shoot another blast of death knell.
Really?
Jesus Christ! This is probably the most natural ones we've had. That is not a worthwhile effect yet. Let me see what the next one is. Roll a dex save.
Alright.
So as you are kind of swinging your hand back towards this one to try to make the shot, you feel something just club you in the back of the head, and your head is, you're not wearing a helmet or anything, but just a sharp club into the back of the head, and your head kind of rings for a second. You gotta just shake your head to kind of clear the concussion, and in so doing, your shot goes wide. The blast misses. You successfully saved. You only had to beat a 10. But you didn't take any damage from it. It was going to knock you prone. Bonus action.
Nah, I think that's alright.
Okay.
So,
RP 11. I need to set this up so that it highlights the correct way. Where's it? There it is. That's the one that actually just clubbed you in the back of the head. Is going to try to rake her claws at you. You, after having felt this clubbing in the back of the head, kind of thought this might be coming, so she knew that this one that was attacking you is still there. She's going to rake her claws at you.
if it hits, I'll parry.
Yeah, it did hit. So go ahead and here, I'll roll the damage, and then you can put your parry on. You actually, she rolled 2 1s, and her modifier was +1, and you had so a total of 3, and you had 3 temporary HPs from the earlier.
Yeah.
So she tries to rake in at the back of your head, and you kind of turn your head just lucky enough that where the claws kind of go to swing through instead, it's just basically just backhanding you with kind of bird-like feet, but the claws miss. So I mean, you feel the brush, but it doesn't actually end up injuring you. That's it for its turn.
Yeah. Alright. Cool.
I've already started.
Yay. Alright. We are going to go after the same one. Try to get her off that rope.
Okay.
Finally!
All right. So, and this was a fire arrow, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no! Don't I have to do a save throw first? I got hit, didn't I?
It
Or attack?
automatically does. When she hits you, no, she missed anyway. So yeah, you would have. You're talking for your concentration for flame arrows. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when she flew at you from a distance but missed. So there was no roll to make to keep your concentration. But even if she had, it automatically rolls concentration checks for you.
Okay.
And it's still up, so. Did it add the 4 for the fire? Yeah, it did. Is that what that was? Yeah. Yep, cool. Oh, no, that's the critical. Yeah, so it didn't put the fire on. So that's a good roll. We'll leave that, and I'm going to have you roll the fire, but the fire also doubles because it was a critical anyway. So on your fire arrows the flame arrows, this is what you would normally do. Since that was a flame arrow and you had it up that you shot at it with, you would click. If you go to your flame arrows, you see how there's 2 things there. There's one for the concentration and one for damage, 1d6 fire. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what that would do is normally you would click that before you rolled your damage, and then it would automatically have rolled it twice for you because it was doubled for the critical. Because we can't, I don't want to take that one back as you rolled well. So just roll 2d6 manually, and we'll put it on there as fire damage. But for future reference, you would click that first.
Oh, damn.
You used your wild shape one to do that, but I guess it
What?
doesn't matter.
Should have been up.
It's up there. You don't necessarily need it right now until you wild shape into something, but that's fine. It doesn't, because it was just a roll with no
because-
modifiers. It's not going to hurt anything.
Because it says that it's on regular. Huh. I wonder why it's
If the only thing that matters is if you're going to roll a save or something like that. So for now it won't matter, but if you were to, then I'll have you close the wild shape version first. All right, and that was at 21. So you, after this one kind of collapses onto the deck next to you, you just yank another arrow out of your quiver, another orange glowing arrow, and pull it and just immediately shoot it out. Just let it go, let it sail, and it sinks straight through the collarbone and out the other side of this harpy that was kind of swinging at the rigging or cutting at the rigging there, and now the arrow's just stuck through it and still on fire. And you see this kind of look of panic in her eyes as she looks down and sees that her feathers are beginning to catch fire from it. She is in very bad shape from that. I mean, she's still alive, but definitely in very bad shape. And any bonus actions?
No, none that I'd be able to use right now.
Okay. Crew member, we'll go through these quickly, is going to swing at the griffin and misses. They're kind of just trading swings back and forth with this griffin here. 21, the one that now has an arrow sticking out of it, is in a fury. These are animals, remember, they're not super intelligent. Is going to just try to beat her wings as fast as she can and sail herself straight over towards you to try to claw at you. And misses again. Jesus Christ. I try to make tough fights, but they end up being shitty for you. you guys just sail right through them like they're nothing. Alright, this is the harpy that Ketis knocked in the face and knocked away, is back quite a distance, is going to try to bring herself back over to the same ropes and try to cut at him still, and is going to, she's trying to position herself in a way that is between those so that hopefully, she wouldn't get hit again. But starts to cut at him, and you see that she's holding on to the rigging there and just beating her wings to hold herself in place. But where she's trying to cut the rigging, the knife isn't even close. Like it's like she's got double vision almost from where she's trying to cut at open air. Like she's trying to cut at what she thinks is the rope, but there's just nothing there. A little bit distracted still by the tolling of bells in her head. It is Anora's turn. She is going to slash at the griffin and hits, and swing again. With her offhand, also hits. And she just cuts two nasty gashes into this thing. One of the wings is almost coming off completely in this. The icon there is kind of a eagle-looking griffin, but what you're actually seeing there, I just didn't change the token, but it's kind of a dark black griffin. And there's just a pool of blood beginning to fill out on the ground, on the deck below it. And that wing is almost chopped off completely. This harpy here. The one that's in front of Nivara is going to, it's kind of standing on the deck and using its wings to try to protect itself, and it's just going to bring kind of an upward slashing motion across Nivara's face. It hits. Okay, can you see what just rolled there? No, you can't. It's blocked out. So
No, but I can see where it says it expired.
yeah, exactly. So the swing just kind of shakes you for just a moment, just long enough for you to lose your concentration, and just out of the corner of your eye, you notice that your orange glowing quiver begins to lose its glow. Concentration lost on your flame arrows, and decent wound, but nothing you guys couldn't handle from the slash of her just slashing kind of an upward strike across your midsection and up over your shoulder. And Harpy 2 is this one has returned back to the rigging and is trying to cut through the rigging. This one is already cut halfway and cuts the rest of the way through the rigging. You hear a loud pop and the whole deck shifts and begins to tilt off to the left of that would be port. Starboard. One of the two. I don't know. I don't care. Both of you roll a deck save. And this is where it would matter because it can't be on the wild shape version. It needs to be on your regular Nivara. So roll a...
Yeah, it says it's on my regular.
Try it, and if it rolls if it rolls the wild shape one, we'll just have you close your wild shape one in the meantime until you're going to go into a wild shape. That's the right one. Roll one on Ketis.
Sorry.
So as the deck shifts, it's like the land just falls out from underneath you and it tilts off to the side, and Nivara's over on the side that is moving up, where Ketis is on the side that is moving down, because the whole thing is just tilting to the left. And so Nivara, you just kind of reach over and grab onto, you feel this happening, and you just grab onto the banister and hold on for a second. But Ketis, you're just too distracted with all the shit that's going on around you, and the ship just collapses out from underneath you, and you just basically don't have anything to stand on underneath you anymore. It falls out from under. You fall because of the jarring and how quickly it moves. You fall off to the side and are out off of. You're not on the ship anymore. You're basically about to fall into ropes. And if you miss these ropes, could fall all the way. Roll another deck save.
Don't do that. I don't have bird shapes yet.
So you're falling. You see where you are on the map. There's a bunch of rigging of a bunch of ropes, but like a net almost. Okay, yeah. So there's just a bunch of netting ropes almost that are where the framing for the balloon is held. And you are thrown off of the deck and land flat into those, thankfully, and you kind of hold on to those just in time. I mean, you would have fallen straight through them, but you grab onto the ropes and hold yourself still, and you're now in a spot that is about as safe as you can be when you're not on the boat itself, but you are not prone. Technically, you should be prone, actually, but we're not mechanically gonna call it prone. Stop it. Sorry, Esther is chewing on one of her toys, but she's doing right where a cable is. Stupid dog. So anyway, you're off the side of the ship, so you'll need to probably get yourself back on as soon as you can. Harpy 2, cut through. Crew member also has to make a deck save. He rolled fine, actually, so. The captain did not. The captain was also thrown, but she was not. She was towards the center of the ship, so she kind of just gets knocked off of her feet and lands flat. And the other crew member also saves. All right, so they're okay. But this one here, it was. Yeah, he rolled fine. Yeah, he rolled fine. So he is going to, using the momentum of the ship getting kind of tossed forward, is just going to use that to try to jab his cutlass into the flank of the griffin here, and hits. That griffin is looking very bad. Harvey 14's turn. Seeing Ketis kind of in a very precarious position is going to fly down and try to push Ketis through, like trying. You know what? Actually, is going to rake it at your hands to try to get you off of to make your hands let go of the rope there. And hits. You're going to use a reaction.
Well, can I?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to apply prone. Okay, so she's.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So go ahead and roll your parry.
Okay.
But she claws at one of your hands that's holding onto the rope. You still, that's your shield hand is holding onto the rope. So you still have your ruin prepared, and you swing up and just kind of slash into to knock her hand away to keep her from kind of digging into your fist. She did 6. All right, so you actually took no damage then, but you can't overheal from it, so you were still at 6 HP lost total. No, you didn't take any damage from her slashing at trying to slash at your holding hand on the rope there. Cool. Griffin's turn. Is going to try to slash at Honora, and finally hits. Jesus. That's not right. Oh shit. Whoops. I didn't fix hers. Alright. Takes a nasty chunk out of Honora's arm that she just used to swing at the griffin there. Just a nasty bleeding wound out of her forearm. And is going to swing its claws at the crew member in front of it. And misses. Ketis' turn.
Okay. Okay, so 2 cut the rope already?
Yeah, the rope where 2 is gone. Is popped and
okay.
Not connected anymore. And there are 2 other ropes that are cut halfway through.
Okay, see if I can. Because 5 is back on there and trying to cut the rope.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to hit her if I can with an art. Or death knell.
Okay. Those names, by the way, were runic names. They were infernal, like a demon is a devil script. That's what it was.
Okay. Nice.
So you kind of stand yourself up. You're still, like, I assume you move your, trying to hold yourself up and move back up onto the ship first, right?
Yeah, sorry. I forgot that I was standing on the side of it.
Yeah. So where are you moving to? Okay.
I guess I just
back
would
over
have
the
back
edge.
to where I was.
Okay.
Just
So you-
had enough
yeah.
time to crawl up and then start hitting.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
you knock the harpy's hand away that was trying to claw at your where you were holding onto these ropes, and just kind of fling yourself up, and back up onto the side of the deck and scramble yourself back over, and then look over and see another the harpy that's kind of returned to the rope that you already knocked away again, and fling out another bolt of black energy at it. Smacks into its head. The kind of, this is the one that had just been trying to cut the ropes, but was cutting open air. Like there wasn't, was missing the ropes because it had already been a little bit distracted from the bells rolling in its head. But you hit it again, so go ahead and roll your damage. You're gonna knock her away again.
Yeah. Oh, goddammit.
A decent
fair.
damage. Yeah. So was that max? No, I think it's a D10. Yeah, it's a D10.
That gets a 10, yeah.
That one is 5. Looking in pretty bad shape. The blast smacked it in the face again, and it's just pouring blood out of its beaked nose, and out of its ears, and a little bit out of the eye, out of one eye. It's looking in pretty rough shape, but it looks like it's immediately going to try to return to cut the rope. At least from your in combat analysis, that's what it looks like. You gonna try to blast it again? You already rolled your second one,
Yeah.
so I mean we can count that as if you want to. Who are you aiming it at?
Yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can finish off the one that I have targeted 5.
Okay. Go ahead and roll the damage.
Okay. Here.
Not quite. Yeah. So so blast her again. This time it hits her in the shoulder, and she goes. You want to knock her back another 10?
Yeah,
Okay.
gonna move.
So she'll be. I'm gonna put her here, just because she would be off map, but basically distance-wise, that's where she is.
Okay.
But looks very rough shape, and doesn't seem to be like fully there. Like she's been knocked too much to be is kind of confused. Bonus action.
I think I am good still. Yeah, so I'm good. So it's let me. There we go.
11 is this one. I'm rotating it. Whatever. There we go. Is going to. This is the one that's been kind of harrying you and clawing at your back, and screams and swings at you again. Also hits. Did you mark off your parry? You did. Okay.
Yeah.
And just swings this time. Just rakes across the back of your neck, the only kind of unarmored spot that it can reach to, and just digs its claws straight through it. And now you've got a slash across the face and one across the back of the neck. You're gonna roll. You're gonna try to parry or anything?
No, I'll let that one go.
Okay. Wait a minute. She rolled a 16. Your AC should have been 18.
Yeah, I put my shield up before my last turn.
You did, so that shouldn't have hit, but I don't know why the AC bonus didn't apply. So we'll need to remind me to check why that didn't work, because she rolled a 16. Well, she rolled a 13 plus 3 is a 16. So that would not have hit actually. So let me take those off.
Is my shield up? Does it say my
It
shield
shows
is
it
up?
up, yeah. It shows effect shield
Okay.
raised AC 2. So I must have the coding. I think I'm missing a colon. I think that's all it is. But I'll take that back. So you're still not too badly beaten up. I'm gonna change the. I'm just gonna add the semicolon there real quick, which should fix it. But we'll test it. The next time you need to put it up. I think that's all it is. Doesn't seem like it should need it, but it probably does. Alright, so that's there. And that was it for its turn. It tries to rake it at you, and you kind of, knowing this is coming, you just scrunch your shoulders up, and it ends up just kind of slashing across the steel plate over your back, your new armor. Navarre's turn. Your fire arrows are down. You still have your shillelagh.
Well, I think I'm gonna just use my bow and just try to get this one off of here. She cuts all the way through.
21.
Because she's Yeah, she's not all the way through yet, right?
She is not all the way through. She's halfway through. Basically, 2 successes on a rope is going to cut through. Okay. Yeah. So you notice that the orange glow had gone, but you yank another arrow out and just release it, and just in time it goes. Say this is the one that has the arrow or had a flaming arrow sticking through its shoulder, but you send another one out and it goes straight through the throat. And you see that the kind of life in the eyes begin to fade, and it just kind of lilts off to one side and is resting against the mast there. Before the movement of the ship, the kind of jostling that's going on from it lilting just kind of pushes it over, and the body just slinks off to one side and begins to just plummet towards the ground. It's dead.
Sweet.
Any bonus actions?
No, I think I'll wait.
Okay. One of the crew is slashing at the griffin and hits. And Harpy 5 is the one that's way out here and really badly fucked up. It screeches something that you expect is probably, their language towards its sisters there, and it kind of looks back and forth a little bit in a very confused look, like it doesn't really know what it's doing, or like it isn't quite present. You see it just wrap its wings around itself and kind of tilt forward in a dive. So basically it's making itself into a bullet shape, and it is diving straight down to get out of view. The wings around it to keep it from resisting through the air, but it just kind of dives itself straight down. It is moving straight down, and it's 30 feet, so it is down, but you won't be able to see it basically unless you moved up to the very edge of the ship and aimed straight down. It's not moving it's basically moving on the z-axis, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to move it on the map. It's still there on the map, but is down a ways. That makes sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and Aura is going to slash at the griffin again with both hands. Swings with one and just ends up missing and clanking off of the deck, but swings the other and cuts deep into it. The wing that she'd been hacking at kind of sloughs off to one side and begins to fall off. It is the Harpy's turn. This is the one that has been slashing at Nivara and did that nasty cut that dropped your concentration. Is going to slash again. Misses. Worthless Harpies. But Harpy 2 that successfully cut through this rope is going to move to this other rope here that it's going to move, seeing that one of her sisters has gone down, is going to fly over to this rope that's cut halfway through already and try to cut through it. And succeeds. And you hear another loud pop as another rope releases, and the ship tilts again in the same direction that it did last time. Both of you roll a dex save. That's a good turn. All right. Didn't screw it this time, thankfully. Let me roll it for them.
Would the griffin have to make one since he's on his feet right there?
He's got, well, I would say no because he
It doesn't matter. He's almost dead anyway.
Well, I would say no because he has wings, except that one of his wings was just hacked off, so it's going to be imbalanced. Normally, it would just flap its wings and hold itself still. Enora keeps her footing fine, but one of the crew members next to her goes straight to the shit. Actually, that's probably bad news for this guy. Let me try that. So she holds herself still, and crew member 3 holds himself still. The ones that are next to the side of the griffin, but the one that was in front of it was so focused on trying to keep that beak from slashing into him that doesn't expect this, doesn't feel it happening, and it goes tossed straight over here to the edge. Is going to try to grab the banister before falling. Okay, he rolled a 19, so grabs the banister and holds himself still. He's actually hanging off the edge of the ship, but holding onto the banister on the edge there. You hear Honora yell for him. The ship is now it's at almost a 45-degree angle, tilted off to one side, with basically stopped here. It doesn't right itself because it can't, where the balloon is too far off to one side right now, because both of the riggings that were popped are on the side to the north here. But that's the end for the Harpy's turn. Crew member, that's the one that's off, is going to try to climb himself back up. Does not succeed. He is still on the edge there. He doesn't fall, but he's still hanging off the edge. He did not succeed in pulling himself back up. Harpy 14 is seeing crew member 5 is in a precarious spot that he could, that the Harpy could probably knock him off, is going to ignore Ketis and try to fly over here. Ketis gets an opportunity attack. If you wanted to use it, it'll take your reaction.
Okay. I will do that.
It's Harpy 14 you're hitting. You're gonna try to swing through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still have my shield up, so if you wanted to.
Okay. And it hits.
Sweet. Yeah, better than nothing.
Yep. So she kind of turns over and sees where the ship had just kind of collapsed, fallen out from under, and this guy goes fleeing off the edge and is holding on. She turns and immediately, seeing kind of a weakened prey instinct, tries to just flap her wings with one harsh beat to fling herself over towards the edge there to grab him. And you seeing this kind of opening, just bring ruin up in an upward arc that just slashes through under one of the wings. Covers a nasty gash. That one is 14. She had not been cut yet, actually. She hadn't been hurt yet. So this is the first wound on this one. But it is, makes her way over here, and is going to try to attack the crew member. The swing that you kind of cut into it, she kind of looks down and is too distracted by that, and her kind of raked attack towards the crew member misses. It is the Griffin's turn. Oh, sorry, yeah, the Griffin needed to make a save there too. So when the ship collapsed off to that side there, one of the Griffin's wings had just been hacked off, and it's just screaming in pain and in frustration, just a wounded animal. And the ship goes tilting off to one side, and it doesn't have the wherewithal to kind of balance itself now that it's missing all of this weight that's normally up on its back. And it goes tumbling off to the side and rolls over to the edge, and it rolled a natural 1. So it goes plummeting. It goes plummeting off the side. You can't see it from this angle, trying to right itself, but it's trying to flap one wing to right itself. Does not look successful. It is. Oh, well, actually, it only had 1 hit point left anyway, so it's not going to survive. It is toast. Okay, Ketis' turn.
Alright. Then I need to finish off that old two. Well, they already cut that one, didn't they? Two fingers cutting that side, didn't you?
Yeah. So, yeah, the two,
Yeah.
There's one more on the north side that has not been cut.
Okay. And I will... Actually, since I've already got 5, see if I can hit 5 more.
Okay. I'm going to slash it through him. Shield or no shield?
Oh, shield up. Hit 5 with the death knell. The one that's almost dead, flying out there around.
Okay. It's way down from where you are. There's too much.
Oh, can I
stuff
see
in the
her?
way. Not really. She's down 30 feet.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you peeked over the edge, you could, but you'd have to move. You wouldn't be able to see her from where you are.
And I will try 2 instead, because she's still
She's
high
still
level,
floating
roughly,
around.
right?
Yep.
2.
Yep.
Okay.
Esther, stop it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Nice.
buddy.
No special effect, but the blast just takes her straight across the jaw. This one, 2 was already pretty badly wounded. Go ahead and roll the damage on it. Yeah, she's toast. The roiling ball of shadow just smacks her in the jaw, and you see the neck. Well, you hear kind of a cracking sound, even with the wind, and she just goes still, and the life begins to fade from her eyes, and she was falling towards the earth. Let me see. I'm not sure if harpies count. No, they're monstrosities. Your Spectre ability, is that just on humanoids?
I think it does say humanoids only. I was just looking at that because I was going to ask if these are humanoids, so I didn't know if that would work.
I just checked, yeah.
So I didn't know Barbies. So
a person is what it says. Yeah, so it would not work on these guys.
Okay.
Good to know, though. But that one's dead. You do get... Oh, you didn't curse them. Yeah. You have your don't forget your curse thing. Your crow's mark. It's a bonus action. You could have been using that all this time.
Oh shit, I just thought it was a one-time use thing. I didn't even look at that closely.
It's
shit.
once for short rest, but I mean, you get short rests pretty often.
Yeah.
You know, basically, you're not. There aren't a lot of times you're going to have 2 fights between a short rest. Most of the time, you wouldn't anyway. Depends on, a dungeon situation maybe. But anyway, so that one's dead. Bonus action.
Now, actually, do I have another attack skill? Since I only hit that one.
Yeah, you still have. Yeah, sorry, you still have 1 more death now.
Okay. You know what? I better hit that number 14. See if I can save crew member 5 over there.
Sure. He is hanging
Knock
off
her
of
out.
the banister, and he's below basically. So if you hit her and knock her, away from him, then she's basically eye level. You don't have to worry about knocking her into him, is what I'm saying, because he's below the net.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was still thinking off. Okay, cool.
Go ahead and roll.
Alright. Damn it.
Misses, yeah. You hold it out, and the blast just goes wide, goes sailing straight over it. But if your turn.
Yeah, it's not really hurt since it didn't connect. So.
Okay. The situation looking pretty dire. 11 is going to... She's gonna... taking stake of the situation, where the 2 of their sisters have just died, and their griffin, which is kind of their heavy, is gone and off the side. She is going to take just a sharp, quick burst of air into your face with kind of smashing her wings together to push herself back. She's going to disengage, which means that you can take an opportunity attack if you want to, but it'll be a disadvantage.
Okay.
You just had your turn, which means that you do have because you took an opportunity attack when 14 swam away. But because you just had your turn, you do have your reaction back. So if you want to go ahead and use an opportunity attack on 11, you can. But it looks like she's trying to get away.
Okay, and that's with disadvantage or no?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And it can't be a death now. It has to be with a melee weapon.
Yeah.
Or rune.
Damn
Yeah,
it.
it misses. You try to swing. This one had been behind you. She wasn't, in your face, so you weren't kind of ready for her to be. You weren't prepared for this, basically. and the beating of her wings kind of knocks enough dust up into the air that you kind of make a wide swing behind you, but it doesn't connect. And she is backed out of your range. Flips herself. Jeez. Sorry. Turns herself around towards the deck here and just dives over the side of the deck, wrapping her wings tight around her in a bullet shape, and just bolting straight down off the side of the deck there, and she's out of view. So 11 and 5 are both out of view now. It is Navarro's turn.
Alrighty. Let's... Alright, well, we're just gonna use the staff on this one, because I still have Shillelagh up, right?
Yep. It's not concentration based, so it lasts a full minute.
Damn.
It hits.
Sweet.
Yeah, these things, because of their wings, are particularly low AC. But you kind of throw your bow back over your back and in the same motion grab the stick off of your shoulder and just bring it down in like a baseball bat kind of a motion, swing it down and just crash right into the exposed wing of this one that had just been slashing at you. And you hear the kind of thin bones crunching underneath it as the staff just swings through these kind of brittle wings. And a poof of released feathers comes off of it, and a little screech from this stupid creature. Go ahead and roll. Oh, you actually rolled your damage, yeah. That one is 6. This is the first time that one had been hurt, but is, looks surprised, I guess, by the impact. Any bonus actions?
No.
Okay. This is 3, who is here, is going to rush over to try to help you. And is going to swing at this newly wounded harpy, but misses. Harpy 5. She sailed down all the way. She's gone. She's just continuing to. She's out of range, basically. She's moved down another 30 feet. 6 is this one. In a frustrated and angry shriek at you, is going to claw at you for just clubbing her wing. And misses. Is going to try to move away towards the side of the deck. So you're gonna, if you want to, you can use an opportunity attack. She looks like she's about to try to dive over the side like her sisters did. Opportunity attack?
Yeah.
Okay. You swing this stick down, but she was disengaging anyway, so technically it should have been a disengage. No, never mind, she swung at you first, yeah, so it would not have been disengaged, but she kind of smooths herself out and just dives over the banister and down and out of view. 14 is going to try to claw at this one again, just trying to get at least one of you guys dead before going off the side. And she hits. And he has to make another dex save. Oh, he rolled a 19. He's fine. Okay. But slashes at him, sees that he's still holding on, that he's just too durable. She dives off the side and is gone as well. So they are all gone. The threat essentially eliminated, except, of course, that the ship is still kind of limping. We'll move them afterwards. There we go. All right. So everybody kind of takes a quick breath. You see Honora just drops both of her bloody cutlasses down to the deck and kind of leans over, hands on her knees, just standing there taking a breath for a second as the 5th crew member, the one directly in front of her, is pulling himself up over the banisters and kind of collapses onto the deck, just trying to breathe for a second. The ship is still tilting heavily to the left. It's about a 45-degree, a little less now, but tilted heavily to the left and is not, far off course now because it's not, isn't aimed correctly because of the tilt. But at least everybody's alive. So, whoops, I still have the battle music going. So Honora, kind of after a moment, stands up. She says, "Well, sorry about that, guys. I mean, they told me it could be dangerous, and we weren't really expecting anything like that. But well, thanks for your help. I mean, we'd all be dead. So glad you two were as capable as they said."
Sure, no problem.
She starts barking out orders to the remaining crew to kind of pull in to tighten up basically the remaining rigging on the port side there to try to straighten the ship out. They're working at that. You guys are free for a minute there. You guys doing anything in particular or just waiting?
Just waiting.
Yeah, just waiting for whatever we can do to help.
Yeah.
Okay. You kind of help pull in the rigging. Both of you roll a strength check for me. Athletics, actually. Athletics.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys easily kind of pull the rigging tight so that the ship is leveled back out again. So it's moving straight. Nora heads back to the wheel and starts kind of rewriting the ship to aim it back to the east to sail off towards the Whispers. In the distance, you start to see the red and orange rock of the Whispers, the place that you're heading to. Basically, it's like think of the Arizona, New Mexico style desert, where it's pillars of old sediment and things like that, just kind of red orange rock. But in the distance, you start to see that kind of covering just miles and miles, just vibrant oranges and reds, just massive edifices of desert stone. There's huge pillars of rock that are jutting up from the barren landscape, plateaus and mesas all over, some of them with what look like pathways and roads carved out that lead to small villages on top. You guys make another half an hour or so of lazy, meandering flight, the ship kind of limping its way in. The ship begins to reach the outskirts of Cragshade. You assume that to be so. You've never been here, of course, but you see what looks like a dense collection of relatively thin pillars that are closely packed together, so close packed together rather that the ground below is in perpetual shadow. As the ship slowly lowers down between the pillars, you do notice something peculiar almost in the hard-packed dirt. You see long lines of dust clouds that are billowing up between the stone towers. As you get closer and closer, you begin to make out that there are wagons or chariots racing through the spaces in between, guided by large black pylons on either side of what looks to be some kind of meandering racetrack. The Barossa, the ship that you're on, slowly begins to carefully lower down towards a lone airship platform on the outskirts of the city and begin to dock carefully. And for here, let's take a quick 5-minute break and take the dogs out. And then, how long do you have, G? Another hour?
Yeah, we can go till about 8 if we need to.
Okay, that'll be about right anyway for what's maybe a little bit longer, so we could start or we can end a little early. But yeah, so we'll just take a quick break.
Cool.
Okay.
What?
That's what I was saying, whatever.
At first I thought you meant those buds with the ranch, and then I saw you mouth dip, and then I was looking for the dip, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, you must have meant that you didn't even make it yet. You go ahead and make it whenever you want. And there'll be a plenty, you have as much as you want. There'll be lots left over. Okay. Thank you.
Let me know when you guys are back. Oh, I know why it didn't work. So the ship the Barossa had just kind of limped its way into the lone airport or airship platform out here. Whoops, hang on, I just muted myself. Whoops. Okay, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the ship, just limped its way in. It's now landing or docking here at the only platform that appears to be out here in the Crag Shade, on the outskirts of the Crag Shade, rather. As soon as it kind of gets in place, and Aura, yells out commands for them to dock it carefully and so on, just because the damage to the ropes is significant. So the crew members start tossing over ropes to the edge of the platform. One of the crew members jumps over to the platform and starts tying it off to hold the ship in place. Honora kind of walks up to you guys. She's already kind of cleaned herself up and put her cutlasses back on her hips. She says, "Well, friends, we were told to wait here for your return, so that's just what we'll do. My crew will work on repairs till you're back. Be careful down there. While you're out, if you come across a nice bottle of Jack, I'll pay well for it. If you bring two, maybe we'll share a drink, but at least bring me one if you can."
Okay, will do.
You guys see a lone figure standing on the platform. There's nobody else out here, basically. So you're standing, you're docked at the top of one of these pillars of this orange-red stone. And there's just one, a tall, grizzled old man, probably early 50s, covered in scars and burns, just looking at you from there. He waves stoically as you guys step off the Barossa. You guys approach him?
Yeah.
As you guys get closer, his eyes go wide a little bit. He says, "Wow, they sent you guys, huh? You're Kiedis and Navarre, right?"
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. Nice to meet you.
He says, "I'm Captain Ed of the Cragshade Militia." He looks around, kind of awkwardly confirming that no one else is nearby. He says, "I know this is kind of stupid. I know who you are, but can I see your bracers, please?"
Sure.
I'll hold my arm out.
Okay. He says, "Good. I guess I'll get right to it then. Here's the situation. The Viper's been targeting banks in the city, using her artifact, and he's really careful about this. He's kind of trying to keep this, saying this very quietly under his breath. Remember, anyone else that heard anything to this effect would be hearing static, remember. So they wouldn't necessarily be able to tell what it is anyway, but it would certainly raise questions. He says, using the artifact, she's making huge vines grow up out of the ground. She's using those to surround buildings and then crush them. It doesn't appear to be stealing anything so far. She's been carrying out these attacks mostly at night when there are very few people or no people inside. So our motives don't exactly line up with what we'd expect. We got a tip off on our next target last night, so we set a trap outside the Trust, the biggest trade center in Cragshade here. Sure enough, she showed up, surrounded the place with vines, and now we think that we've got her trapped inside. The problem is, though, except for one of my sergeants, all of my people are stuck outside. We can't get in through the vines. So he told you about these two. The Trust and Captain Ed. What do you guys do?
Right, I guess. But
Head over there, I guess.
yeah.
All right. Captain Ed leads you guys down the winding staircase. This takes a while. You're walking down the staircase for, another 5 minutes, similar to the one you climbed. That was wood, of course, in a hangar at the aerodrome. But you kind of carefully make your way down this staircase, spiraling on the outside of a stone pillar. At the base, he leads you out towards the edge of the city. As you begin to enter the city proper, you see more and more of what look like small, ramshackle, vagrant hovels, built hastily out of trash and scrunched together materials. Every face you see down here in the shadows of these tall oranged pillars is covered in dirt and grime. Nearly every person avoids your gaze and scurries behind whatever cover they can find as you pass, as if not wanting to be seen. It's a very 1% kind of place, but you're seeing like the bottom 1%. Captain Ed, noticing your uncomfortable looks, he speaks up. He says, "Cragshade's seen better times, I know it. Businesses have gotten a bit out of hand. My guess is that's what's stuck in the Viper's craw." And he's still he's not really looking at you guys. He's kind of just leading the way, just a half step ahead of you. A few more minutes of this pleasant stroll through a practically homeless village, and you arrive at a steel wrought fence, just a massive steel wall, basically about 10 feet tall. There's a small, nervous man standing beside a gate who gives Captain Ed an awkward salute before opening the door and allowing you guys through. Inside, you see a wholly different place, still nestled amongst the shadows of the stone pillars, but otherwise the polar opposite of the environment you just left. There's immaculate buildings that grow up around tall pillars, surrounding you on all sides with a beautiful architecture and restaurants and shops and apartments that are filled with smiling people and richly designed attire, without a single smudge across their expensive features. Captain Ed lets out an exasperated sigh before continuing on wordlessly. A few minutes later, you turn a corner around a stone edifice only to see a spaghetti-like mess of pulsating green vines that are covered in sprouting leaves and small branches, coiled tight like a constrictor snake around the base of a nearby particularly massive stone spire. Laying atop one arm of this huge vine, you can see a broken wooden sign that's tilted to one side where it was ripped from the walls that reads Cragshade Trust. Captain Ed kind of sighs. He says, "Well, we're here." He shakes his head frustratedly. "We've got everyone evacuated as far as I know, except for one of my sergeants, Lindy." Lindy is the sergeant he mentioned that is stuck inside. Everybody else is apparently outside. She says, "Lindy's one of my best. She brought in the tip-off about the Viper's plans to attack the Trust last night. I really hope she's okay in there, so please do everything you can to bring her out safe, you hear?"
Definitely.
He says, "Well, there you are." And he kind of makes kind of a hand, hands moving upward, kind of a gesture, like gesturing towards the outside of the Trust. What do you do?
Now, were you saying that I get one more spell? So I have 12 now.
Huh?
Did I get 13?
Get what? One more what?
One more spell. So I know I have the level 4 slot, but did my number increase for how many I can have?
The number you can have prepared?
Yeah.
Let's go to your druidic spellcasting majig. I think it's half your druid level plus your wisdom modifier, I think. Sorry, I'm reading it. 1 second. Wisdom modifier plus your... Oh, plus your druid level. It's a full caster. It's not a half caster. So your druid level is 7, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're 7 druid and your wisdom modifier is 4. So you get 11.
How do I want to end up at 12? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. Yep, whoops, I have 12.
That's fine. Don't worry about it for now. I'm not really concerned too much about, specifically with divine casters. I don't think it makes all that much sense to have to worry about preparation so much. For arcane casters, it does. But anyways, I'm not really worried about it. The only reason that I even still have you do the preparation thing, as opposed to just disregarding that rule specifically for a druid, is because if you just had all of them, it might be, analysis paralysis. Like you wouldn't, you're reading through a list of 1,000 spells, you may not be able to pick one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, but I'm not really worried about your preparation. As long as you are aware of what your spells do, then don't worry so much about the preparation. If you want to use one in a moment that you don't necessarily have prepared, we'll work around that narratively.
Okay, because I was thinking about using Talk with Plants, if I can find it on here.
It's I think it's called Speak to Plants. Speak with Plants. It is a third.
Plants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking about seeing if I can't use that to get the vines to move out of the way enough for us to get in there.
You could certainly try.
If not, I could hit it with I think Blight instantly kills non-animated plants. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to take a look at it. I don't know how much it would work on those, though.
Yeah, so where you guys are is you are standing outside of the main entrance, like what would be the lobby essentially of a bank, and in front of it, it is the whole it's a tall pillar, and the building is built inside of this pillar. So it's basically, think of it like a big stone tower that is of natural stone that has been carved out, and there are windows and there are doors. Well, the doors at the main level, but the first 2 stories of it are wrapped in these thick vines that are looks like they're trying to crush it, like they're trying to squish the base of this pillar until it would eventually, the pillar would collapse, like the bottom of it would collapse and then the whole thing would tilt over. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, well then maybe you should use that then, so that way they're not crushing it while we're inside.
Well, the place is, from looking at it, go ahead and roll a perception, both of you.
Okay.
It's a very tall building. The only the bottom 2 floors are surrounded by vines from the outside that you can see. That roll's plenty high. Just from looking at it, Nivara, you kind of look through the distance looking up. You look at it, it seems like it's probably about 9 stories tall.
Could we climb? Does it look like there's any places to climb?
The vines around the outside of it, you probably could. I mean, they are moving, so it might be a little bit, something you have to be careful about to not get crushed inside of it. But yeah, I mean, the vines on the outside of it are covered in brambles and small branches and things like that look like you could probably climb it, or blight would probably work to kill the, maybe anyway. At least you could try. Speak with plants might work. So whatever you guys want to try.
Well,
I didn't make a solution, so generally with these, especially now that you guys have played a little while, I don't design these with solutions in mind. I design them with a problem in mind and let you guys figure out a solution, because there's any number of ways you might be able to accomplish something.
Alright, yeah, I guess I'll try. And that was a 3rd level?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I guess I'll try speak with plants and see if I can't get them to stop crushing the building and move a little bit out of the way so we can get in there.
Okay. I'm reading this now to see if there's any kind of like a check or anything you have to make. Okay. You kind of move up closely around the outside of it, still trying to be careful. Most of this whole area looks like it's been largely evacuated, but you do kind of look around, just taking note of your surroundings, and you see that there are multiple members of what look like this militia, because you see a little a badge on each of their chests, similar to the one that Captain Ed is wearing, and they're basically each street, but they're not streets. They're basically the bottom, the kind of interconnected area, this little network of what's left after these pillars grow up out of it, these stone pillars. But you see the kind of militia people blocking each entrance. There's not a lot of civilians around. You don't see any right here. It's relatively quiet, except for the kind of roiling sounds that these vines are making as they muscle against each other. But the space is kind of a wide open area around here. Like, this looks like it was probably a confluence or a city center of some kind, like a square. But you kind of step up, approaching these vines here, get somewhat close. You don't really, hold your hands out. This is mostly a kind of in your mind almost. There isn't a lot of physical representation for what you're trying. So you kind of, move up a little bit close just to get within range, so you feel like you could try to communicate with this thing. And kind of just tilt your head down, eyes closed, and just kind of thinking towards this plant, basically. And there's a very dim green glow that kind of surrounds you, that you don't notice, of course, but the people that are looking on do. And you start to kind of try to reach out towards this plant, and the plant doesn't have a mind to be able to communicate with, but this specific ritual in your mind kind of imbues a temporary one on the plant. And you're able to reach it. You can feel that it's there, and it can't talk to you, but you feel like it's able to listen to you. So you feel like you've made contact, essentially. So what is it you're trying to tell it?
You want to just go in?
Yeah, ask it just. I go a bit.
Yeah. See if we can't let us in there.
Okay. you kind of in your mind whisper to it, to kind of open up, and at first you feel like it has almost like a hateful kind of a response, like it's been told to do one thing and now you're telling it to do something else, and there's like a schism inside its temporary mind, essentially, of it not really understanding which one it should obey. But your command being the more recent, it kind of acquiesces, and you feel kind of a relief almost that this thing doesn't really, it doesn't want to be doing this. It doesn't know what it is. It doesn't. There's no. It's not like talking to an animal. You've spoken to animals before, with similar rituals, but this just feels like a confused life, like a baby that has just been born. It doesn't know. It doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know who it is, what it is, or anything else. It's just this kind of confused existence where it's crushing this and it doesn't know why. But it kind of, you feel it try to listen and try to obey what you're telling it to do. And Ketis, as you're watching on, Navarro's not seeing this, Navarro's eyes are closed, but Ketis, as you're watching on, you do see there's two thick coils that are about 6 feet tall each, that are just absolutely massive. They're 6 feet in diameter for one of these vines, and there's two of them that are stacked on top of each other. But you see it looks like a coiled snake wrapped around at the base of this pillar. You see the space between these two begin to kind of lift up, and there isn't a lot of room. It can't make that much space because it's kind of coiled back on itself over and over. So there isn't a lot of space for it to make room for you. But it looks like it is listening to what Navarro's trying to tell it to do, and the bottom one kind of tries to flatten itself more towards the ground, and the top one, the one that's above, tries to lift itself up a little bit, and it creates this kind of tiny little gap. It's not much, but there is just enough space that you guys could probably climb over the bottom vine, up that 6 feet, and try to climb through. Now, you don't know what's inside. It could be dangerous in there too, but there is a gap enough. It looks like this vine has listened to what you told it to do, Navarro.
Alright, we'll give it a try. What do you think?
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to help me over if it's 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
All right. So your eyes come open. You kind of look over. You grin to yourself a little bit that you were successful at that. It's the first time you've ever tried to talk to, an inanimate plant. Well, this kind of a plant, like not one that was natural, but one that was created, just moments ago, kind of thing. Go dogs. But it has parted. So go ahead and you're gonna try to climb in.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a gap of about probably 3 to 4 feet, so there's enough room for you to kind of climb up the outer edge of this and then get inside, and then kind of crawl inside through this. So go ahead and you make it over there. Both of you roll an athletics check to climb.
You say athletics?
Athletics.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Ketis, you kind of help Navarra, scramble up over the outside of it and crawl through. You both just clamber up. You make your way inside. There's you kind of step over this, and the whole place is just covered. Like the floor is covered in thick brambles and vines everywhere. There's a tree in here somehow. There shouldn't be trees indoors generally. But there's a tree in here, and everything is covered in these thick, like netting of vines and everything. You do see, what looks to be a whole row of small windows where maybe bankers would talk to their customers and so on. There is a set of stairs that looks to go up on one side, and over to the opposite side of the room, there looks to be two sliding doors that are jammed shut. Maybe some kind of an elevator over there, but the door is stuck shut. There's just enough light coming from upstairs. There are windows from the outside. You guys saw those, and I've already kind of counted them to get an idea of how many stories there were. But there's light coming from the stairwell. So where the vines are covering the windows on the bottom floor, it looks like the upper floors where the vines are not crushing. There's enough light coming in from those that you can still see. It's dim, but you can see.
Head up, I guess.
Sure.
Go upstairs.
Okay. The stairs are pretty densely packed with these, and there's actually one thick vine, not quite as big as the two big ones that were outside, but one probably. Sorry, I was checking to see if you'd marked off your spell slot.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. That's why I changed it all. I was just checking to see if you'd marked off your spell slot. But there's one that is kind of laying along it, almost like a fireman's hose might, if there was a fire upstairs and they'd run a hose up. Except this one's probably 2.5 feet in diameter. That has crushed most of the stairs. So the stairs are carved stone, much like this whole building is. But the steps below it are just crushed and kind of broken away. There's still plenty of stairs for you, the rest of that stairwell for you to climb up. But what's below those vines look very badly damaged. This whole place looks like it's getting very close to be ready to collapse. But you make your way up the first set of stairs, come up to another room. This one looks to be banking offices and the like. There doesn't appear to be anything that stands out as far as any kind of a burglar or anything of that nature. What are you guys doing? You do see the elevator door again, by the way, on the second floor.
Okay. I don't know. You want to trust the elevator or just stay?
Well, the door is yanked shut, but the stairwell does continue up to the third floor.
What are you thinking?
I guess use the stairwell. I guess probably be safer.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about the elevator right now with the build like that.
Okay. All right. So you guys continue up the stairs, comes up to another similar room to the floor above that you just came up from. It looks like there's a bunch of offices and the like. Pretty much kind of almost what you'd expect. This looks like all of the kind of standard banking business where they talk to customers and stuff is done on the lower floors, and maybe the administrative stuff is done up here. But you notice that so you've gone up to the third, same kind of thing. There's room enough to go to the fourth. You go up to the fourth, and at this point it looks like the stairs are so densely packed with these vines that there's no way for you to get through. And this whole room, once you get up to the fourth floor, it seems like the vegetation is getting more and more dense the further you go up, but now here on the fourth floor, there's just no room for you to be able to make it through the stairwell. So it's a similar, row of offices and so on. Just there's rolls of paper here and there. It looks like people's deeds, things like that. Just business dealing, contracts, all that kind of stuff is held here. It doesn't look like any money is being held here, but maybe further up. But yeah, so anyways, it doesn't look like you can go up from there. Same thing, there is still an elevator door.
So we're using the elevator.
I guess so.
Okay, so you head over to the elevator doors there. They're stuck shut. I mean, there is a small runic symbol next to it. It's not lit up. It looks like it's carved into the wall. What do you do?
We'll get the runic symbol a little bit more.
Roll an investigation check. You look it over and you can feel that inside the wall behind it, it seems like there's kind of some kind of an arcane filament that should be connected, that whatever source is feeding this thing, that this arcane symbol is not connected anymore. In modern terms, it would mean the power's out.
Okay.
Want to try and pry the doors open? There's usually ladders and elevator shafts.
Okay. Yeah. See if we can get the door yanked.
Okay. Do you have anything to pry the door open with? What are you trying to do? You have a crowbar or something?
Is it completely sealed shut, or is there slightly open?
It's
where we can get our hands in it.
Yeah. So it's like an elevator door where there's two kind of panels essentially that are in the center. That kind of, one goes left, one goes right. Does that make sense? You know what I'm talking about? Like an elevator door would be. So I mean, there is a spot for you to be able to jab a crowbar into to try to pry it open.
Okay.
Dang, I thought I had one, but maybe that was Westra.
Westra definitely does.
Okay, that's where I saw it then.
Yeah. Doesn't help Nivara much though.
Hey, I got a crowbar.
So you both are standing there in front of this elevator like, do we have a crowbar? You both go digging through your bags looking, hey, I got a crowbar.
How did I not know that I have a crowbar?
Exactly. Who doesn't know whether or not they have a crowbar? There's never been a time in my life where I've been walking around like, I'm not sure if I've got a
Is
crowbar
there
right
one in my
now.
pocket? No, it's in my other pants. Sorry, I left it in there. All right.
Usually I keep a crowbar folded up in my wallet, but, you know, today I just forgot to bring it, I guess. I left the crowbar at home. So, all right, so you kind of dig through your backpack and you pull out a crowbar, and you're just trying to jab it between there and kind of wiggle it back and forth, pry it out.
Yeah.
All right, roll a...
That's where we can get our hands in there and start yanking on it.
Okay, roll a straight strength check.
Okay.
You know, are you proficient in athletics? Go ahead and you can do it in athletics if you're proficient. You
Nah.
are not. Okay. Yeah, just roll a straight strength check then. That's all it would be
Okay.
anyway. So you jam it in, you jam the crowbar between it, and you're actually like struggling to even get it. Like it feels like there's enough pressure on, you know, maybe the structure of the building itself that it's kind of forcing these doors closed. So you're really trying hard to get the bar even between the doors. You finally kind of jimmy it back and forth until it eventually fits in between, but you haven't been able to move it back and forth. You know, try again, or going to help, or anything else?
Want to see if you can assist me?
Sure.
Is there enough room on the crowbar for us to both try?
One of you can push from one side and the other can pull from the other side. So what we'll
Okay.
do is you can roll it again. This time you're going to roll with advantage because she's helping. She's doing the aid action.
Roll it again and what?
Roll with advantage.
Okay.
Nice. So you
Cool.
you yank and yank on your side, and Navarra's pushing from her side, and you just keep pulling and pulling, and you hear the loudest pop, and the door kind of goes to swing open, but you're no longer being held on anything. You had your whole weight against this, and she was pushing towards you. So you go tumbling backwards and just falling straight towards your back, and this crowbar just kind of yanked in between you. But the door pops open, and you kind of just stand up, dust yourself off. Your crowbar's a little bit bent, but the door is popped open.
Okay. Then I guess look in there and see if there's a ladder.
Roll another investigation. You kind of lean in, and there's enough light here now that you're up high enough that the vines aren't covering the windows. There's enough light coming in from the windows, which are really just carved out holes in the side of this tower, that you can see a little bit up to the shaft here. But the shaft itself, there's no light inside. But you look up through this elevator shaft, and you see that there is a dense net of vines covering something that is going straight top to bottom, and looks like it's going the whole way up. But it looks like whatever ladder was there is what these vines used to attach to, and that's what they grew up. The same way that if you grow ivy up a lattice, how it'll find, whatever the easiest spot is, or, cracks in the side of a building or anything like that. That was the easiest point of purchase for the vines to grow up through, and it grew up through that ladder. So the ladder itself doesn't look like it would be any use to you. It doesn't look like you can get to it. But the vines are attached to it, do have handholds here and there. It would be a much more precarious and unsafe kind of a climb, but there is something for you to climb, just not as good as a ladder.
Don't know if we have any choice, so I guess we
That's what you're going to try to do?
think, honey.
Alright, you said it was dark in there.
Very, yeah. And the
All right.
doors, this is the only door that's open. You don't see another open door up the shaft or below. So basically the only light coming into this elevator shaft is coming through the door that you're kind of using your heads to block right now.
Okay, so I've got dark vision on my thing, and it says that I can use it on a creature, so then would I have to use 2 separate spell slots for both me and Ben?
Yes, I think, unless the higher level version. Yeah, there's no higher level version. Some spells it'll say if you cast it using a higher slot, you can cast it on multiple people or whatever. But yeah, you'd have to cast this twice.
Alright, well, that would let us be able to actually see, though. So,
And you do have enough spell slots. It's a second level spell. You've got 3. So
yeah, so I guess I'll use that.
okay,
There and there.
go ahead and click the cast. Put the effect on both of you.
Alright, how do I put it on?
I'll do it. You would just drop it. If you drag it over and drop it on him on the combat tracker, it'll work there.
Okay. Oh.
There you go. And drop one on yourself as well. You clicked the effect, but I don't think it has a default target because it doesn't know who you're going to try to cast it on.
Okay.
There you go. Cool. All right, now you both have dark vision. So you kind of just concentrate for a moment, just reach your hand over with your eyes closed and put your fingers over Kiedis' eyes. You at first, because he's not expecting, because he wasn't paying attention, you actually poke him in the eye a little bit. But then he closes his eyes and his vision begins to kind of turn into a faded, very dull gray. You guys have had cat's eye before, and it kind of feels a little bit similar to that, although there's a little bit more warmth to it. The world doesn't feel as colorless. But there's kind of everything begins to fade into a black and white almost. But then you look up in through the shaft and you can see clear as day. I mean, you can see up 60 feet and you're already on the 4th story, so you can see all the way to the top. All the doors are closed, but yeah, it looks like distance-wise, you've got another 30 feet, 40 feet that you're going to need to climb up, and there doesn't appear to be anything to use for the climbing except for the vines themselves, unless you do something else, basically, unless you create another means of climbing.
Okay.
Give it a try.
Might as well.
Okay.
Because I don't think I have any other means of climbing, so.
Well, you have like wild shapes that could do it,
Yeah.
but Kiedis doesn't.
Yeah, but then I can't use spells in my wild shape, so the dark vision. Would
Well,
that
that's-
get rid of the dark vision?
No, it's not a concentration effect either. And concentration stays up when you, if you put up something beforehand, it'll stay up when you're in your rage, or in your wild shape rather. But dark vision is just a permanent effect that's on you guys, so it's not something you would need. It wouldn't drop, basically, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if there's one you want to use, you can.
Well, I can't really fly, and I think the only one that I have that can climb is the panther, so I guess I'll use the panther.
Did you not get like a? Did you take a snake or something? I guess you didn't. But you still you
Or
yeah,
the
you did. Yeah,
rat.
poisonous snake. Yeah, you have poisonous snake. You have the poisonous snake in there, which I mean would
Yeah.
be small, so it'd take time, but you theoretically could. But really, the bear or the panther would be great because those would have a faster climb speed. So
Sorry,
whatever
I
you wanna
missed
do.
what you said.
I said either the bear or the panther would have a faster climb speed. Those would be probably your better bet.
Alright, yeah, I think I'll go with the panther.
Okay. All right. So still on the outside of the shaft there, you kind of prepare yourself, close your eyes, begin to kind of slowly melt your form down into this this quadruped, and now much harder to see against the shadow of the elevator shaft there. But you're down in your cat shape now, and cool. You did everything right. All right. I was going to tell you what to click, but you already knew what to do. All right, so you are now in your panther shape. You are going to have advantage on climbing because you're already, they're natural climbers. In fact, it'll just be as long as you don't. Well, your DC will be really low, and you'll have advantage. So what we'll do is we'll just make one check for the whole climb up. Go ahead and roll. Where are you guys trying to go? You're on the 4th floor. The vault is you're guessing on the 9th floor, the top.
We probably need to try to get in and out as fast as we can. Straight there, right?
Yeah.
You're also potentially looking for Lindy, Sergeant Lindy, Captain Ed's sergeant that's stuck in here somewhere.
Okay.
You don't know where. You don't know anything else. You just know that you're trying to. Your mission from the college is to apprehend the Viper, and Ed also asked as kind of a favor to him, basically, if you could find his sergeant that's in here somewhere. But she may be at the top. You don't know.
I'd say probably supposed to go for
Sure.
You said go for the top.
the vault.
You're cutting out a bit. Go for the what?
Sorry, for the vault.
Okay.
For the vault, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're climbing for the top then. All right. Then you guys both roll an athletics. Naivara roll with advantage.
What am I rolling?
You're going to roll an athletics roll, but it's actually with the Panthers stats and also with advantage. So let me put the stat on there 1 second. Strength is a 14. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll a strength check on your wild shape form with advantage.
Strength check. Okay. Oh my god.
Damn.
Sir.
That is awful. So, who was going first? What was the order?
I rolled first, so I guess I probably would have been first,
Okay.
apparently.
All right. So
So-
Yeah,
you,
well, you would have been the one with the crowbar to open the door up, so.
Yeah.
So Ketis steps into the elevator shaft there, and kind of looking up, get an idea of where you're going. Kind of have to hop almost off of the edge because there's no elevator there. It's just an open elevator shaft, so there's no floor for you to stand on. You have to kind of jump almost over to grab onto a couple of handholds on the vine. But you make this little hop and you grab onto the vine and kind of begin to kind of shimmy your way up, kind of using your knees and pressing into the vine itself. And there's just enough give in this because it's it's a living organism. It's not you're not climbing a tree that has like a rough bark. This has like kind of a little bit of a give to it. So you're kind of able to hold on to it almost and like a telephone pole kind of a climb, I guess. And slowly kind of make your way up, but you're up and out of view, and then. Navarro goes to do the same thing, except in her panther form, expecting no difficulty with this, expecting to just dig her claws into the flesh of this vine and hold on and just use the claws to kind of move her way up. And you've kind of cleared enough space for her to do so. And Navarro, you go to hop out and go to dig your claws into it and just barely misjudge where the claws are going. You haven't been in your panther form for a little while. You've been, up in the college for a week, just kind of reading a book. Haven't spent a lot of time climbing trees as a panther lately. So you kind of the claws just dig through and it goes missing, and you have this brief moment where you're staring straight down, going, "Oh fuck." Where there's nothing between you and something the ground 40 stars or 4 stories below. But you kind of bring one of your back claws up and try to rake into it with a back claw to kind of just right yourself. You'd be facing down if you can make this save, but go ahead and roll a dex save. Still with advantage because you still have climbing, as your for a panther. That's better. All right. So you're able to kind of grab both of your back claws into it and facing downward a little bit and kind of very carefully, ever so carefully, just slowly kind of reach your right paw back up and kind of dig into it and kind of rotate yourself around until you're facing upward, straight upward now, climbing, 90-degree vertical. But claws are dug into it and you're able to hold on now. So Ketis has already moved up. This is already kind of a panicked moment as you heard all this kind of rare kind of a pissed off cat kind of a sound below you. Like this is almost a very bad moment of a cat plummeting. We'll see if you land on your feet after falling 4 stories. But you turn down and look and see she's kind of righted herself, and you see the kind of glowing green eyes in the dark there. But she's righted herself and is now able to keep moving up. Ketis, you're not going to have any problems climbing up. Your roll was fine. Roll one more with Navarro to see how smoothly you're able to make it up. Just a plain athletics with advantage. Or strength with advantage, rather.
Finally.
That's better. Yeah. So now you're actually you kind of catch yourself back up and you're just underneath Ketis, and it's good that you went second because you're just ripping the shit out of this vine. Like that, there's just just gaping wounds basically of the hole, because the panther's not a light animal. It's relatively heavy, and every time your claws kind of let it go, there's just a big chunk of vine's flesh kind of plummeting down to the ground below. And if you had gone second, or if you had gone first, Ketis would be having to kind of work his way around these chunks of missing vine. But you kind of make your way up behind him, and now you're just sitting there impatiently waiting for him to move as the weight of this panther form is slowly kind of sliding down and just digging these nails, these streaks of nail claws into the vine, while you're waiting for Ketis to slowly make his way up. He's climbing fine, but you're heavy and just holding in, just waiting for him to move. But you make your way up. You get all the you pass one landing where the doors are, and see that this is where the 5th floor would be, and you're going your way up, and there's another little landing for the 6th, and so on, and you make it up to the 9th. The landing is small. There isn't room for more than one person to stand on it, so one person's going to have to be standing on the platform trying to open the door from the inside the shaft, while one is still attached to the vine. So you guys are all the way up the top. You don't nothing stands out. You're not hearing noise or anything like that. What do you do?
Well, it's gonna have to be you. I'm a panther.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
So,
you can't
yeah,
stay
yeah,
in
right.
panther form, holding on there forever, because your weight of the panther form's weight is slowly. You're just basically, if you just sit still, you're slowly lowering down constantly and just digging raked streaks into the holes of this, with your claws in the vine.
Is there enough for me to like grab onto if I lose my B shape?
Yes, meaning if you were to drop your B shape on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So that way I
basically
was lighter.
Yeah, your claws would just turn back into hands, and you could just intentionally wrap your arms around your clawed arms around the outside of it and just drop your form if you wanted to. Is
Okay.
that what you're gonna do?
Yeah, just to make sure I don't fall.
Okay. All right. So now you drop your form. You kind of just take a moment. Your hair feels weird for a second because you've got vines and shit stuck in it, and you kind of had gotten, for that brief moment, gotten used to that feeling, that wonderful feeling of being an animal for a little while, and it's you resent it almost, having to be your normal self for a bit, but there you are, kind of plastered to the side of this vine and not moving. So Ketis, you jumped over to the platform.
Yeah.
Okay, you try to pry it open.
Yep.
Okay, so you grab your slightly bent crowbar and try to jab it between the thing. Go ahead and roll a strength check. So this one, it doesn't feel like all of the weight at the bottom, like the whole structure is being crushed from the bottom, right? So all of the kind of the tension in the building is closer to the bottom than it is to the top by a gradient almost. So the further you are towards the bottom, the harder it is going to be to do things like this, to open a door, for example. But up here, there isn't anything crushing it from the top. So this one, you don't really even have to try that hard. You kind of just jam the crowbar in there and work it back and forth, and it just comes right open. Like it slides open enough that you don't even bother trying to use the crowbar anymore. You just kind of throw the crowbar back in. You fold it back up, put it back in your wallet, and then you grab the sides with both hands and just kind of pull the doors open, and they just slide open off to either side, really without too much effort there. The door is wide open now. You can step into the room. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, and we'll help Navarro first and then
Okay.
get in.
All right. You step out into a very brightly lit room. There's a massive circular hole in one wall with looks like the steel vault door, or the hole that the door was in, and off to one side, a massive, just still writhing vine is slowly roiling around what looks like the door that has just been ripped off of its hinges. That is like the vine is still slowly kind of wrapping around, and it looks like it's trying to crush it. Through there's a massive circular window on the opposite side that is letting in a ton of light. Like it's just a very bright room. In fact, you are almost a little light blinded almost because of the dark vision. But oh damn it, sorry, it was. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Just inside this, over basically through the door, you can see just stacks and stacks of gold and platinum bars inside this vault. And just inside there, facing away from you and leaning over a table covered in rolls of parchment, you see a slender elven woman, clad head to toe in tight-fitting black leather. Her dark hair is pulled back in a tight braid. As soon as the door is kind of creaked open, you obviously made some noise doing that. When you stepped in, she kind of turns her head slightly as you enter. She doesn't look to be too concerned that you're there. Concerned with you as a threat or anything of that sort. She turns her head slightly, looking at you over her shoulder. You see she's wearing a simply drawn snake mask, like the kind you might buy at like a local general store to celebrate Hallows End. And hanging from her hip, you see a coiled vine rope off of one hip. She lets out an exasperated sigh. You guys, you shouldn't be here, she says. I blocked it off for a reason. It's not safe for you to be here. I'm going to push the vines of the stairwell to the side. You guys need to get out of here fast. What do you do?
Well, bad time, but
You're
I got
I'm
absolutely
getting
good
like
time.
every other word.
So I still got a few more minutes.
What? I got like every other word of that, G.
Okay, I was gonna say, whenever's a good time to stop, then just reminder I gotta stop soon. It's a good time. But
Okay, I mean, I understood what you were saying, but I don't think you're going to be able to talk much because I can't understand. Like, it was literally every other word. Becky, try saying something.
Oh, he was saying that he's got us soon,
Yeah,
so he
you're
wasn't
both-
sure what good
yeah.
place to stop.
We're at the ending of this session anyway, but you're both cutting out a bunch, so can you hear me okay?
yeah,
Okay, all right, then here's what we're going to do. We'll finish this session, and then, you know, hopefully the network will clear up a little bit while we're going. We're almost done anyway, so. So, did you hear what happened here?
Just that she said it was unsafe for us to enter, and she was to leave.
yeah.
I understood what you're saying, but I had to piece it all together. Like every other word is cutting out. You guys' internet is fucking awful. All right. Well, yeah. So that's what she said. What are you guys doing?
No, I can't really hear him. Can you? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. All right. It sounds like it's hopefully cleared up a little bit anyway. So yeah, what are you guys doing? You're standing there. She told you it's not safe. You need to get out of here.
No, we're here for that thing you have on your hip. So
She says this. Look, I'm not giving this up. So I'm giving you the opportunity to leave. I'm sorry. I can't let you get in my way, and I'm not giving you this.
Did you hear what he said?
just part of it.
Couldn't hear it either.
Yeah.
I'm having a
Fucking
hard
lame.
time hearing you.
Yeah, it's not your guys' fault. This is just fucking frustrating because this is literally the fucking ending. So kind of important that it would be clear. So it's not your guys' fault. Let's give it a second. I guess that's all we can really do. So maybe from now on, I guess before the sessions, let's have you guys just restart your router and everything. So hopefully it'll stay clear throughout the session. And they're not that
Okay.
long, but hopefully it'll in the future anyway. So can you hear me clearly at all? Is it working okay at the moment?
It's alright.
Yeah, you're still cutting out. What is the color in your guys' Discord in the bottom left corner where it says voice connected?
What is the color? Mine keeps going red.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your guys' network. We'll do this quickly. Go read you. Let's see. Fuck. Restart your router real quick because there's no other way we're gonna be able to do this. It's only gonna take fucking 5 minutes, but it needs to be clear for us to be able to do that. So this would be a shitty space to end it on. So.
Can we just do it talking over the phone?
It would screw up the recording. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do it that. I'll call you. Just put your phone on speaker.
Okay.
Okay. Drop yourselves out of Discord. Fuji. Hang up Discord, both of you. There you go. Okay. Let's make sure this is loud enough that I can hear you. All right, get your phone on speaker and you're both nearby.
Yeah.
All right, this will still be a little awkward, but we'll make it work. We're about at the end anyway here. So, all right, so yeah, standing just inside the door, you see her. She tells you that she can't give it to you. She's not going to give it to you. She's giving you. She says, "I'll give you an opportunity to leave. I'm sorry, but I can't let you get in my way." What do you do? Ah, shit. I can't quite hear you guys. Hang on. I've got this up as loud as it'll go. All right.
Good to keep it. We have to get rid of it.
What? One more time? Here, I'm gonna take one. I'm gonna take my one ear off of the headphones so that I can hear you better. All right, try again. What'd you say?
We're saying that this is gonna say, well, we're here for the vine. So,
Yeah, we can't let her keep it.
so
She makes an exasperated sigh. She says, "Look, we're at an impasse here. I don't want to hurt you guys, but I mean, I can't give it to you, and I can't let you, take this. I can't let you're not going to be able to take this. I don't mean to be, to sound arrogant or anything, but you really don't have any chance. I mean, I'm practically ascended. So you really, I mean, this is your last shot. I'm going to open these vines for you. You guys can make your way down. Just go downstairs and get out. You'll be safe." Now, you have in the past, both of you have seen what they do, what these kinds of artifacts do to, like Yarno, for example, and Flog, who had the hammer, who was, going after the hammer. The thrall of these artifacts is something that the people don't necessarily know about. They're not necessarily aware of the effect that it's having on them, but it is, controlling them to some extent.
We have to get it.
is that it? No, they're just not gonna be able to keep it, so I guess we're gonna have to take it from them.
She finally stands up. Remember, she was facing away from you and kind of leaning over these papers, like reading over papers. She stands up and sighs. She says, "Well, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I was afraid it would come to this, but I mean, you're not getting this. So I guess we'll have to do this the hard way." And she go ahead and roll initiative on both of you. She rolled shitty, so you both get to go first. You each get one action before, well, one turn before her. What are you doing?
See, go ahead, I one of the first one, I guess. Try to see if we can get the, if they're still on her head, the last three, just put it in her hand.
What's
Get
that?
away from her.
What'd you say? Oh, you're trying to get the vine off of her
I
hip?
don't know if it's still on her head from her hand yet, but
It is not. It's still on her hip. She hasn't. It's not her turn yet, so she hasn't. Basically, you just rolled higher, so she theoretically will grab it, but it's still on her hip. Yeah, and you're first, G.
okay. Then I'm gonna try to see if I can get it away from her.
Okay.
Off her head.
Let's see. How should we handle that? Are you doing it any particular way, or are you just gonna? She's about 15 feet away from her. You're just gonna try to run at her and just try to yank it off her hip.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Roll a sleight of hand, I guess. It'll be contested, so she's gonna roll. For her, she's gonna roll just a plain dex check, and whoever rolls higher basically is gonna win. You need to beat a 9. She rolled pretty shitty. Well, you rolled worse, so yeah. So you kind of just blitz at her and try it, and you've with mobile in particular, you're pretty, really fast. But you kind of just in a surprise motion, just trying to get it away from her is in a surprise attack, basically. And your hand reaches out just to yank for it. The shield's still on your back, and you go to grab for it, and she's a very, very nimble, very quick little elf. But she kind of just yanks the hip off to one side and just punches you across the face, just an open-handed punch. It's not much. I mean, it's just as long as she gets basically one damage points she gets here as her reaction. 17, you did not have your shield up, so you take 1 damage from her just punch across the face. Becky's turn. Unless you had a bonus action, anything else you're going to do, G? That was your attack. We'll count that as your attack. Or your action, rather. So. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Becky's turn.
Would I have a chance to try to grab for it?
You can try. Same thing. She's gonna, she'll have to contest it. And because it's already been attempted once, she's gonna have advantage on this because she's expecting it now.
I'll give it a try anyway.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a dex or a sleight of hand. She rolled a 15. She rolled an 11 with a +4 modifier, so yeah, both. So you kind of reach for it also, and same thing, she just kind of jumps out of the way, the opposite direction. Both of you were kind of coming from 2 different angles at her. She gives kind of an exasperated yelp. She says, "I can control this. I'm not giving this up. Just get the fuck out of here." And do you have a bonus action? Anything else you can do? Okay. She then yanks it where you would try to reach for it, and she kind of jumped out of the way. She reaches down and then grabs it off of her hip and uncoils it. It looks like a whip, almost like a whip made out of vines, and is going to immediately as soon as you've kind of done that, and she hops herself back. She swings it up over her head and brings it around to one big coil around the top, like a lasso almost, around the top of her head, and then lashes out with both of you to slash both of you with it. So I gotta set the phone down for a second. Hang on. This is gonna say. Can't change it. It's going to say dagger, but it's actually the vine width that she's slashing at you with. So she swings the lash around, and the closer of the two, which was Ketis because he had jumped first, the lash just goes straight across your neck, and you roll a con save. You don't feel any ill effects beyond just the slash of it, but it is a very nasty slash. 14 points. Right. And the whip of it where it hit Ketis kind of knocks it out of the way so that it doesn't end up hitting Nybara. But it did kind of slash through. As soon as this happens, basically, though, you hear behind you. You hear an explosion of glass coming from behind you as the large circular bay window behind you explodes inward around a small halfling woman, feet extended, swinging into the room on a metallic rope, like she had rappelled in from above. The halfling lets go of the rope and tumbles expertly into a smooth roll that has her standing in a defensive martial arts style position at the end of it, hands drawn and small but ferocious-looking fists. You see the elven woman's eyes go wide behind the slits of the snake mask. The halfling woman takes a brief look back and forth, taking stock of the situation before relaxing her martial stance. She puts her hands up in kind of a stop position, stop gesture towards the Viper, and shouting, Shay, you're not a killer. Share this. The Viper stands up stiffly, and for the briefest of moments before you see her body collapse down into a thin, coiled spring-like shape, and then blitzing up and out, flying through the exploded window, and she's gone. And that's where we will end tonight's session, since your guys' network is not cooperating anyway.
Cool.
That note there, the halfling woman that jumped in there called her Shay, called the Viper Shay, S-H-A-Y.
Okay.
All right, guys. Let's see. Next week is, yep, no AT&T update, thankfully, of course. All right, so we should be good for the 18th. So I expect this arc will be probably the next 2 weeks, and then the weekend of the 5th, I guess, is probably where we'll pick up the next one, where we'll start the next one. So, all right, guys, did you have fun?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, then I'll talk to you guys later.